Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins ruining many a suicide league, but maybe not as many as the Jets.
Yep, should have gone New England. Oh, well. Another year of losing. Yeah, that's sad, AJC, no doubt, huh?
Yeah, that's awful.
Young.
I love Coffin Ball. Yeah, Bodenick played well, but he got me 23 fantasy points. That's the important thing.
Matthew, I don't know.
Awful. Just horrendous. Had to root against him. That's it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Overreaction Monday. That's just for the college athletic directors and presidents. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I come at you from Kansas City, site of Monday Night Football. But, whew, man, there's a lot gone on since we were last on the air. Good morning, Mark. How was your weekend?
Weekend was tremendous. My son came in town. He's here for the week, so spending a little time with the now very young man. No longer can say the boy, but had a nice Saturday and Sunday with him, with the whole family yesterday, watching football. And, they didn't get in our way too much while we watched games and made food for everybody. So it was a good Sunday, good Saturday, unless, of course, you're in Baton Rouge.
Third Sunday in a row in which a university says, I don't know if we have the money or not, but we're doing this. We're doing
not
this.
Third Sunday in a row at, Kentucky, Minnesota, Baylor.
No. Football
Penn
school.
State, Florida, LSU.
Hello.
I mean, come on here. These are big-time programs,
right,
that have fired their coaches. We are to the tune of like $120-some-odd million in buyouts among the three, and
Correct.
We're not done yet.
Oh, no. Well, first off, we've got 9 other openings, and we're going to have other openings still. But, Mark, here's the funny thing. You could probably find video somewhere of someone who covers college football for a living and go back 15 days in which they'd say, oh, well, this Penn State opening is going to be the marquee opening on the coaching market this offseason. And then 7 days later, this Gator opening, this is going to be the best job that comes available this offseason. And then last night, I watched many a college football person go, well, LSU is the best job available, bar none.
we've mentioned his name a few times over the years on this show, but there truly is only one big winner in this entire coaching, whatever you want to call it.
Carousel.
Mess, because this is a joke.
Uh-huh.
This is a joke, everybody. Come on. But the winner is Jimmy Sexton.
There you go.
Everybody wanted to answer Lane Kiffin. Yeah, he's going to win. There's no doubt. But Jimmy Sexton, David, of the Division I coaches, how many of them does he represent? Like, what percent would you say of the Power 4 coaches are represented by super agent Jimmy Sexton?
Well, he represents a majority of what we would consider the top 20 jobs in the country.
Right. And he plays athletic directors like a fiddle. He just does what he wants, and he plucks and prods and gets raises. You'll not only see whether Lane moves or not. It looks more than likely like he will, unless Ole Miss comes up with literally half of Fort Knox to keep him. But then you'll see the domino game go of other Sexton clients. Then you'll also see those that are going to be afraid that their coach is going to get up and leave, so they will sign extensions. The athletic directors are being held hostage by the boosters and by Sexton, and they have no say anymore. You look at the Florida State guy, who, by all accounts, David, right, they had the money to fire Norvell.
Well, that's the word, was that they were scrounging it up. Plus, they didn't have to pay it all right away. So they had enough money that they could have forced him out a week or so ago.
Now, they'll probably force him out at the end of the year. We'll see. But by all accounts, the AD held firm. David, what was your text to me when I sent a text out to you saying that the AD, I think I caught it before you did, that the AD announced that Norvell was staying? Your reaction was?
Well, the AD just fired himself.
Bingo. So it's a mad, mad world out there, folks. And, with the portal, with NIL, with all of the things that are going on, the college football world changed dramatically in the last 24 months. The boosters haven't changed one bit.
Mark, Scott Strickland has to be a happy guy today, because we and many others have pointed out that, how does Scott Strickland get to hire a third football coach, since it's worked out so well with Dan Mullen, although the first 3 years worked out really well, but it ended badly. And then obviously he chose Billy Napier, and that didn't work. So why does Scott Strickland get a third bite at the apple? Mark, if I was an LSU booster, or if I was, say, the president of the university, or I was somebody that was part of the Louisiana Board of Education throughout the state, I would be saying, hello, we can't let Scott Woodward hire the next football coach, because the last two football coaches he'd hired were Jimbo Fisher at A&M and Brian Kelly at LSU. By the way, to the tune of about $125 million in buyouts. So at the very least, I think we should fire him, but at the very least, if you're hell-bent on keeping him, shouldn't we have someone but him choose the next football coach?
And David, that really gets to you make a valid point. And it does make me think that now these athletic directors or super boosters or whatever case may be are going to go where to hire coaches? Search firms. In which case, what the hell is the athletic director's job for all the money he makes? And let's really focus on Strickland, because you're right. Everybody out there, all you Gator fans, he got you a basketball natty. What the hell happened with the basketball program and the pitchers and the paper and the stories, that just all went away. We won't bring up your women's basketball team, and we won't bring up the fact that your baseball coach resigned because he basically attacked someone who was handicapped at a regional. We won't bring any of that up. You're going to give him another crack to hire a football coach?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
How he has a job is beyond me. David, it's beyond me how Scott Strickland has a job. I'm not messing around. I know they don't have a university president, but how that man is employed is unbelievable to me.
It's because it's a leaderless university right now. I mean, they haven't had a president for 2 years.
Wow. You guys look a mess. And now LSU, what job's better, LSU or Florida?
LSU. I challenge you, if you're a Gator fan, don't get mad at me. I challenge you to find anybody who covers the sport of college football. All right. That isn't a Gator to say that Florida does a better job than LSU. It is. Now, I think Lane's staying. But
I've
then
said
again,
that forever, but I mean, wow. If there were opportunities there, they are there right now.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. I mean, I guess if you're Lane, you need to ask yourself, because quite frankly, this is why Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame 4 years ago. He didn't see the rules changing the way they did within months of him leaving, but he left Notre Dame and he said it because we made the playoff 3 times, but we got housed all 3 times and we can't realistically compete for a natty at Notre Dame. We can be a consistent top 10 program, but we can't be a top 4 program. Well, now with some of the changes, we think they've all helped Notre Dame. And obviously, they played for a national championship last year, although Brian Kelly did have Notre Dame in the national title game in 2012, which he gets no credit for. And he gets no credit for putting them in the playoffs 3 times in a decade. But he's a jerk, and nobody likes him. And so that's why he doesn't get credit for the fact that he had an undefeated season at Cincinnati, and he actually did a really good job at Notre Dame. All right. But Lane, I think, has to decide. I can make the playoff at Ole Miss. Is it important to me to compete for a national championship?
And at Ole Miss, I can stay here as long as I want and retire a football god.
Right. Best coach since Vaught, but in the early 60s. Right. And you win your, you could suffer through a 7-5 season at Ole Miss. I mean, as long as you win the Egg Bowl, but you can put 8-4 and 9-3 on the board, and they'll talk about what a good job you're doing. Or do you want to realistically have a chance to compete for the national championship? Because you certainly
combination of portal and recruiting. I mean, that's what we found out. You've got to be able to do both. And at Ole Miss, most think he can't recruit at the level to sustain depth to win a natty. Can be really good, but not win a natty. At Florida, at LSU, well, the recruiting is there. The portal is there. Everything should be lined up to be playing in and winning the final game of the year.
But Lane's talked a lot about my life and balance and happiness, and he seems to have all of that in Oxford, Mississippi. Does competing for a national championship outweigh everything else that's going well in your life? And you're going to get paid at all 3 places.
But 3 weeks, 3 firings. Penn State, Florida, and now LSU. $125 million in buyouts. But we don't have enough money to pay the kids.
Not enough money.
Miller and Moulton. We haven't even gotten to Sunday yet on an Overreaction Monday. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
It's the event everyone will be talking about when college basketball's biggest names take the court in Fort Myers. The Michigan State Spartans and the North Carolina Tar Heels headline the 2025 Skechers Fort Myers Tip-Off. Witness the excitement live and in person this Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena. The stage is set. Will you be there? Lock in your spot now at FortMyersTipoff.com/go. That's FortMyersTipoff.com/go. See you Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Adam, Jimmy Johnson started 1-15. I mean, you guys have the attention span of a gnat sometimes. Saints are in that mix, baby. Titans, Saints, Jets. Man, the officials had a bad day yesterday. It would not have made a difference, but man, did the officials in the Giants-Eagles game have a rough day.
In the Bucs game, too, that was a touchdown they took off the board. They said the whistle blew. The whistle never blew.
Oh, yep.
Ended up not meaning anything, but I mean, it's like, come on.
Well, I mean, if you're an Iowa fan, AJC, it was a great game. It's 31-0.5.
I will say I don't think it matters at the end of the game, but Sparty's actually in the game. They call an offside that nobody thought. I mean, this isn't me being Sparty guy.
Right.
They get the sack on a blitz and a fumble and get the ball, and they call offside. Next play or 2 plays later, Michigan touchdown. The game was still a game. I don't think State wins, but those are tough ones, especially when the replay guy in there is going, I think he timed it perfectly. But whatever. He's fired too. That's 35 more million you can put on there.
Well, settle for too many field goals. And Jordan Love in the second half was tremendous. Just tremendous. And those Steelers uniforms. Oh, my goodness. I didn't think they could come up with something worse than the Bumblebee, but that might be it.
It was worse than the Bumblebee. Like, we all decided, as my wife being a Steeler person, she's like, wow, I never thought I'd say I'd rather see the Bumblebee.
Yeah. Awful. Prime's not getting fired, Left Twix. Are you serious?
He's made so much money for that school. Resign? Maybe.
No. I don't think the altitude's good for his health. If you have circulatory issues, altitude is not the place to be.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. On this Overreaction Monday, where a third prominent college football coach doesn't make it through the weekend. Brian Kelly out at LSU, and apparently that was not the intention yesterday when he met with the athletic director. The AD reportedly wanted the offensive coordinator fired. Kelly said, well, then fine. Then I'm going to fire this guy and this guy. Led to a dispute. Actually, Kelly's out. And they're figuring out how they're going to pay $54 million.
David, it sounds like there was, the AD obviously had the permission from the boosters to fire him, whether it was coming at the end of the year. But it sounds like, believe it or not, David, and I think most of you listening to the show can believe it, you and I are probably more like Brian Kelly than we are any other coach that's out there. Because I'm reading about the dispute that you're talking about. That is so Miller. Oh, really? I'm going to fire? Well, fire this guy too. How do you like that?
Right, yeah.
And then all of a sudden our asses bounced and we go, what the hell just happened?
Although, if we were getting $54 million on the backside, we would have been watching Sunday Night Football at a bar and buying for everybody. What?
That's true. That's true. But yes, the hammer is dropped again, Brian Kelly this time. And Gator fan, how nervous are you that if there are lane sweepstakes, there's a really solid competitor for you? Because you thought, and come on, deep down you thought, because I think it was Friday night, David, that the rumors started swirling that Lane was coming to Gainesville. I know my phone was blowing up. I know your phone was blowing up. The Twitterverse or the Xverse was blowing up with what the compensation was going to be for one Lane Kiffin to come to Gainesville.
Right.
It was out there so much that when Ole Miss players took the field at Oklahoma, the Oklahoma student section was gator chomping at them.
Which is tremendous. No, come on. That's college sports. That's the best part of college sports.
You got that right.
That's outstanding.
And, give Ole Miss credit. They went and took it to Oklahoma on the road. There's not a lot of big road wins for Lane.
In fact, it was his first road win against a ranked team at Ole Miss. That makes him 1-6 on the road against ranked teams.
So, trust me, the world knew it was going on by Saturday morning. And when Brian Kelly got the axe by Sunday, my Gator buddies are texting me going, uh-oh, looks like it's a sweepstakes for Lane.
It always was the sweepstakes for Lane. Don't kid yourself.
Now there's just a third party entered.
So if we could focus on Sundays for a moment, what a weird Sunday. The NFL is a phenomenal television product. And seemingly this year, Mark, half the games have been one-score games. There was only one-score game so far this week in the NFL, right? Am I missing something?
This week has sucked.
Wow.
This week has been blowout city. When the best game, and it ain't close, is Bengals-Jets.
Right.
From a competitive standpoint.
And it was a 14-point game with 10 minutes to go, too. I mean, it was a really strange NFL weekend. Never mind the fact that one or two of the teams that got blown out were solid favorites at home. I mean, could somebody explain how the Dolphins could get absolutely humiliated in Cleveland and then come back 7 days later and humiliate the Atlanta Falcons? And don't tell me it was because they played Cousins instead of Penix. Okay, this had a lot more to do with that. Okay, a lot more to do with that. If anything, it was, wait a minute, where did this Miami offense show up from? Against supposedly revitalized Falcons defense. And the Falcons, who can run the ball with one of the top 3-4 running backs in the league and Bijan Robinson, against arguably the worst rushing defense in the league, and Atlanta didn't even rush for 50 yards. I mean, what the heck?
Well, they challenged Cousins to throw early, and he didn't do much, David. He missed a lot of guys. Bijan turned it over in the red zone, and, well, there you have it.
Wow. But, I mean, it was blow. By the way, if you're Myles Garrett, tell me, yeah, you got paid, and you therefore said, no, I'm going to spend the rest of my career here. I got you 5 sacks. And we lost by 19? If I wasn't here, what would we be? The Titans? I mean, seriously. He's the best defensive player in the league. 5 sacks. They got blown out.
Yep. Yes, they did. And Drake May continuing to look really good.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Able to throw it, able to run it. He's a little bit of fun to watch.
You know, it's interesting, whether it's injuries, whether it's just performance, a couple of guys who had better years than Drake May last year. He is having the best year of those 5 quarterbacks that were taken in 2024 this year.
With Bo Nix raising his hand saying, I'm still playing okay.
Yeah, no. Bo Nix is going, I'm probably number 2 on the list this year. All right. But, Jayden Daniels has been hurt and okay when he's played. Not much more than that. Caleb Williams is still okay to pretty good. JJ's an incomplete. But this year, anyway, year 2, Drake May's the best quarterback of the fivesome. This year.
Yes, he is. And I mean, speaking of Caleb, the Ravens have surrendered a gazillion points to everybody this year that they've played. They shut down Chicago and beat them with their backup quarterback.
Hell, they scored 30 with their backup quarterback. Now, that's the Pro Bowler we remember, Mark.
You're right. And you know what? I'll give it up for the Bucs because that offense is injured and didn't play great, but the defense showed up.
Boy, did it ever.
After I mean, what did they take 8 plays to gain a yard? They had first and goal, got a penalty. So I think they had 8 plays or 9 plays from the 1-yard line, finally scored on the 9th. Now, the good news after they went 4 straight, 5 straight and didn't score, the defense bailed them out and scored for them. But not the best performance from the Bucs, but the Bucs defense was excellent.
Outstanding. And with the events of yesterday, Carolina getting blown out at home, Falcons getting blown out at home, boy, is Tampa Bay in control of that division. Now, does need to be pointed out, at this time last year, the Falcons were in total control of that division, having swept the Bucs, and we all know what happened. But right now, Tampa Bay, I mean, I'm not putting an X next to him yet, because if any more guys get hurt, got to keep that quarterback in the game. But whew, man, what's this going to be? A 5th straight NFC South title?
Certainly heading in that direction, because we do know they're going to get healthier at some point.
But
point.
But their Bucs fans still want to replace Todd Bowles. Got it.
Maybe they can call Brian Kelly. So yeah, a weird Sunday. A really good Saturday.
Yeah. Some great comebacks. Crazy comebacks.
Haven't even got to what happened in South Florida Saturday afternoon. Well, in Memphis. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Oh, boy. Give up 17 in the 4th quarter and lose.
Mm-hmm.
Miller and Moulton. It's an overreaction Monday. The starting 5 to catch you up on what you missed. That's next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good. And they've never not played hard for him, RCB. That's the thing that we've always kind of snickered at the Bucks fan that didn't like Bowles. They've always played hard for him. I mean, Left Twix, if he does, then they won't have any season ticket holders next year.
What?
I was just talking to Left Twix who said, can McDaniel save his job? And I said, if he does, then they'll lose a lot of season ticket holders.
I don't know how they look, but they're charcoal, these curtains.
Miami was big in the survivor pools, but trust me, the Cincinnati losing to the Jets was bigger.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Matt Moscona will join us in a couple hours. He talks sports in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. We'll get his take on LSU firing Brian Kelly and the $54 million buyout that goes along with it. Time right now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
And we will start with college football. Third Sunday in a row that a high-profile, expensive coach doesn't survive the weekend. James Franklin in Penn State, Billy Napier in Florida, and last night, Brian Kelly at LSU, parting ways 4 years into a 10-year contract. $54 million still owed on the contract. Reportedly, the intention was not to fire Kelly yesterday, but when he met midday with LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward, it did not go well, needless to say. And by the evening, the coaches were told to go home. Kelly was informed that he was being replaced. And then the AD told the players that at a team meeting last night. LSU off this week, and then they go to Alabama. College football rankings came out yesterday. Top 3 remains the same. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M. Indiana and A&M did garner more first-place votes, however, with Ohio State being off, Indiana whacking UCLA by 50, and A&M, second straight road win, and sending Brian Kelly into unemployment with a rousing second-half win at LSU, a place they had not won since, I believe, the Eisenhower administration, maybe even the Truman administration. Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, and a tie for 10th, BYU and Miami. Tied for 10th, Miami a sluggish first half before winning big, and BYU, one of the remaining unbeatens. Notre Dame at 12, Memphis into the top 25, thanks to their upset win, albeit at home, over South Florida, and the Bulls fall out of the rankings with the loss. NFL, Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield said heading into the game, I hate these guys. They play with an edge, even threw the D word around, dirty. Well, Bucks, they did the Saints dirty. 23-3. Anthony Nelson, interception for a touchdown, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. Bucks defense forced 4 turnovers. Antoine Winfield with an interception and a fumble recovery. 23-3. Tampa Bay is 6-2 with a 2-game lead on Carolina and a 2.5-game lead on Atlanta in the NFC South. The Dolphins helped the Bucks out, and I guess helped themselves out, snapping a 3-game skid with a rousing 34-10 win in Atlanta, 2 of 4 touchdown passes. Falcons held to just 45 yards rushing. Miami 2-6. Little oomph, I guess, behind them as they get ready for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on Thursday night. A type of loss in which, Mark, losing 30-0 at Carolina and losing 34-10 at home to Miami. If I'm Raheem Morris, I better finish this season strong. I better win 6 of my last 9 minimum and post 9 wins, whether I make the playoffs or not, because yesterday's performance at home is the type of performance that gets you replaced.
100%, David. And, you know, obviously, you know, if you listen to the show, we have Pat Kerwin on twice a week. Pat has Raheem on. He likes Raheem.
Yeah.
He's even said he's the guy that's kind of coaching for his job this year. And a loss like yesterday certainly doesn't help.
Earlier in the day, Jets world was rocked by the passing of Nick Mangold, who had 12 days earlier come out and said, I need a kidney transplant. No one in my family has the blood type that I do to match. If somebody could help me, I'd really appreciate it. 12 days later, Nick Mangold, with a wife and 4 kids, passed away at the age of 41, a standout at both Ohio State and with the Jets. And the Jets, well, they won one for Nick, whether they were trying to or not. They rallied from a 14-point deficit with 10 minutes to go. They picked up the first win for Aaron Glenn in beating the Bengals 39-38. What a crusher for Cincinnati. A win would have gotten them to 4-4 and been a half a game behind Pittsburgh. And instead, now they're 3-5. Ouch. Oh, yeah, and Hendrickson's hip forced him to leave the game in the second quarter and not return. Yikes. Eagles blew out the Giants 38-20. It got worse for the Giants. They lost their talented rookie running back Cam Scatterbo to a dislocated ankle. Saquon scored the first time he touched the ball from 65 yards. He had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, so he had his breakout game. Jalen Hurts with another 4-touchdown day. Thank you very much. Goddard had 2 touchdowns receiving. 38-20 Eagles. They improved to 6-2. The Bills after the bye week. Mark, remember on the picks Friday, I said, listen, I'm tired of the Bills playing down to their opponents. Could you show me something? Got a text from my favorite Bills fan who said, did we show you enough?
Yeah, not only did you say show me something, I think You had Carolina plus 7.5. More on that coming up later.
Yes. Well, and let me tell you, was I money yesterday? And by money, I mean if you took our advice and went the other way. Buffalo 40-9 over Carolina. James Cook with 2 rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen with 3 touchdowns. All right. 2 of them rushing and 1 passing. Myles Garrett with 5 sacks, and yet Drake May threw 3 touchdowns anyway. Played really well once again. Patriots have won 5 in a row. 32-13 New England over 2-6 Cleveland. Colts wallop the Titans 38-14. Indy with the best record in the NFL at 7-1. Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones with 3 touchdown passes. One of them was to Taylor. The Titans are 1-7. Jets, Saints, and Titans all on the clock at 1-7. Well, it was the Cowboys offense against the Broncos defense, and Bo Nix in Denver said, hey, we're going to show up and help our D. And boy, did they ever. 44-24 Denver. They've won 5 in a row. R.J. Harvey, the rookie from UCF with the breakout performance, he had 3 touchdowns. Houston, Stroud with a good game. Against that defense, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns. 26-15 Texans over the Niners. Houston at 3-4. They're ways behind Indy, but maybe they're still in it for the wild card. Baltimore snapped their skid. Derrick Henry with 2 rushing touchdowns. Ravens came from behind and beat the Bears 30-16. Lamar Jackson did not play. There's a big injury controversy. He practiced, and we were led to believe full practice Thursday and Friday. They're now saying the Colts put the wrong information down, that it should have been listed as limited and not full. Anyway, people were surprised on Saturday when all of a sudden Lamar was declared out. Lamar has been declared in for Thursday at Miami, however. And Jordan Love was terrific. 360 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, had a tremendous second half. Green Bay took care of Pittsburgh 35-25. Steelers still lead the division, but they're 4-3, so the Ravens are only 2 games back, and they still play one
haven't
another.
played, right?
Right. Tonight in Kansas City, Chiefs a 10.5-point favorite over the Commanders because no Jaden Daniels for Washington. KC has won 4 of 5, 8:15 on both ABC and ESPN. NASCAR, Mark, pay attention.
Okay, go. I'm ready.
William Byron.
Sorry, I was starting my engines.
You don't have to start your engines. You just have to be in the pits and pay attention. William Byron took the checkered flag at Martinsville. So that means he joins Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, and Kyle Larson won the 4th and final spot in the championship 4. Those 4 will race for the title next week in Phoenix. Whichever one of the 4 is the best finish wins. Ross Chastain, by the way, in Martinsville, led some laps and finished 4th. 8 games in the NHL. Vasilevsky with his first win of the year, although it was in overtime. 2-1 over Vegas. The Devils have won 8 straight. They beat the Avs in OT 4-3. San Jose won their 2nd straight. They beat the Wild in OT 6-5. And there were 4 overtime games yesterday. Vancouver 4-3 over Edmonton. Calgary snapped an 8-game skid, 5-1 over the Rangers. Kings 3-1 over Chicago. Nashville had a 2-0 lead, let it slip away. Rantanen, the power play goal in the 3rd. Dallas beat the Preds 3-2. And the Mammoth have won 7 straight.
7 in a row for the newly named Mammoth.
3-2 over Winnipeg. 9 games in the NBA yesterday and last night. Heat won their home opener. Norman Powell with 29. They beat the Knicks 115-107. Do you know the Celtics are 0-3? I mean, Jaylen Brown scoring a bunch of points. He had 41 last night. But Boston's 0-3. Detroit beat them 119-113. Pistons off to a 2-1 start, Mark. Cleveland won their home opener. They edged Milwaukee 118-113. LaMelo Ball, remember him? 38 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists. I mean, even Jokic is like, dude, that's a good day at the office. Charlotte over Washington by 26. The Clippers got 30 points, 10 rebounds from Kawhi Leonard. He must have took the day off at Aspiration. I'm sorry, those jokes are not going to get old anytime soon. Clippers over Portland, okay, whose coach got arrested by the FBI, 114-107. None of those jokes are going to get old anytime soon either. No LeBron, no Luka. Austin Reeves said, so does that mean I'm going to get the ball? He scored 51.
51, David.
And the Lakers beat the Kings in Sacramento, 127-120. San Antonio's 3-0. Brooklyn's 0-3. 31 for Wemby. Spurs 118-107. Minnesota, pay attention. Anthony Edwards left the game. Hamstring injury, did not return. Pay attention to that. Hopefully it's a real short-term one. Those things, as we all know, could be 3 to 6 weeks, just like that. Julius Randle with 31, however. T-Wolves edge the Pacers 114-110. And Cooper Flagg with 22 points. The Mavs over Toronto in Big D, 139-129. Off day yesterday. World Series resumes tonight. If you missed it, Toronto with 9 in the 6th inning in game one. One game won 11-4. Ohtani did homer for the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Yamamoto with a 4-hitter Saturday went the distance. That's right. A complete game in the World Series.
It's back-to-back. What? That's 2 complete games for Yamamoto now.
Correct. He
Back
did
to
it
back,
in
right? He did it in the LCS.
Milwaukee. Yeah.
The last pitcher to have 2 complete games in the postseason was in 2001.
So the Dodgers won 5-1 in game 2. The series is tied at 1. The scene shifts to Los Angeles tonight, 8 o'clock on Fox. Max Scherzer, he pitched game 4 in the LCS. Toronto moved him up. He's pitching game 3 in the World Series. What's interesting is it's Scherzer against Tyler Glasnow, not Ohtani. So this could be the game 7 pitching matchup if it goes the distance. 8 o'clock on Big Fox tonight. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories and a Yamamoto here on Miller and Moulton.
Always good when you have a Yamamoto.
It's nice to have a Vasilevsky. It's nice to have a healthy Joe Burrow. And now it could be, we'll see, could be nice to have a Yamamoto.
I was looking, David, at the NBA standings, and it's only a couple of games in. But if I were to ask you, who are the undefeated teams in the Eastern Conference? There's only 2.
Huh. I didn't think there were any. So
Chicago and Philadelphia.
Why, of course.
That's it. Along with OKC and the Spurs are the 4 teams who have so far started out without losing. It's just a couple of games, but come on. Everybody had Chicago in that one on their bingo card. Miller and Moulton will come up with a poll question. Where's Brian Kelly going to coach next year? Hell, that could be it. Or where does Lane Kiffin coach next year? LSU, Florida, or Ole Miss? Because the coaching carousel, it is a spinning in college football. Miller and Moulton, thanks for joining us on an Overreaction Monday.
This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not 1 but 2 elite women's college basketball tournaments. The Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power 4 teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance for tickets. Go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9 639 Pelican. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mhm.
That's well done, Rob. Robes. That's good. That's good.
Rose, wouldn't it be something if both happened? Hello.
By the way, Mississippi State. Really?
I
You
know.
had them. You had them.
And you let him off the hook.
So I get this text from my buddy that you know that used to live here and moved a little north because he loves Saturday now. Because the Raiders suck, so he can't call Al Davis because he's dead, and he loves Saturday now. 8:30, I get a text. Mississippi State and USF choked. Texas average. Miami coordinator not good. Spartan football. That's all it says. And Vandy hits hard. And they do, by the way.
That was a slobber knocker.
It really was. By the way, if I knew it was going to be a monsoon in Oregon, I may not have laid the 31. It was raining buckets sideways.
Right.
I'm watching that game going, I have no chance. At the start of the game, I'm like, no chance. Unless the defense scores 4, I've got no chance.
And the running joke is it never rains in Eugene, right? Sark, Javier,
He's right though. That's what I'm seeing it too.
Yeah, Sark immediately came out tonight at CAA, sent out a press release, which I will say I've never seen CAA do. I will say that. They sent it out during the game, and then Sark addressed it afterwards. Listen, Texas has barely beaten Kentucky and Mississippi State on the road these last 2 weeks.
Maybe they're saving everything for Vandy.
Golly. Now Arch is hurt. Backup may come in, play great. There's a part of me that wants that to happen because
Oh, I do too.
I mean,
Even if they lose, I want Vandy to win, but let it be 37-34, if you know what I mean.
Paul, were you being serious, or is that being haha? That Weather Channel humor?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Overreaction Monday. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I do want to apologize to the good folks at Lee County, because you put your name on the starting five. I do the starting five, and I did not say that the starting five was brought to you by the good folks at Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. And we had just established on Friday that that's BST, business, sports, and tourism, not to be confused with BTO, Backman Turner Overdrive. It's BST.
Or a BFD. But it is a BFD for you to read the crawl.
Right.
And I left it up just to remind you. And I was going to say, is it an overreaction of me to say Moulton read the crawl?
BST, which could be a BLT. But it's how Lee County goes about building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. So
by the way,
better late than never.
Exactly. We had some fun with the Oklahoma students gator chomping at the Ole Miss players in the pregame.
Right.
Got this text on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, Pelican Roofing of Florida, statewide commercial residential, called today, 1-866-9-PELICAN. But a texter says, diehard Notre Dame fan here. Hearing the student section chanting "Fire Kelly" during the post-game interview filled me with more joy than it should have.
You know what? And it's probably no way now to know, but the disgust that Notre Dame fans have at Brian Kelly, would you still have this much disgust if you hadn't played for the title last year? Or is it just that a coach left you, therefore he can't suck enough forever? Because, man, I mean, he is the all-time winningest coach at Notre Dame. He took you to the playoff 3 times, and you guys have seemingly never liked him. It is remarkable. I mean, it's not as remarkable as the Gator fans holding a 15-year grudge against Urban. I mean, that's still number one. But
I think that grudge is over. I really do.
You think Billy Napier brought him back?
Right to their knees, David.
Good. Well, then you know what? Good. Now I'm glad Napier happened. Listen, Urban is what he is, all right? But he's a hired gun, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Oh, man. But, man, I will say nobody likes Brian Kelly. Nobody. The media doesn't like him. All right. His former teams don't like him. He didn't coach, though. And he won at Grand Valley State, won at Cincinnati, Won at Notre Dame. Didn't win big at LSU, though. And didn't make any friends. Do you think, Mark, it started with the accent?
Oh, 100%, David. 100%. Because Brian Kelly is not, like you said, David, he's not a super likable guy, but he
He's
can
not.
coach.
He can.
And he tried with that fake accent to
Right.
think he was going to be likable. He tried to be something that he's not.
Then the video, remember the video and the stage? I don't know if the stage was going around or the camera was, but anyway, remember him trying to dance with the recruit? Who, by the way, I don't think that kid signed with LSU. But anyway, I know. It was like Brian Kelly. It's like, who is this guy? Right.
So on that note, I'm hitting you right where it hurts, Gator fan. Poll questions up. Where's Lane coaching next year? You get 3 choices.
Oh, boy.
Ole Miss, Florida, LSU. I think it's a solid overreaction Monday poll question.
Oh, I think it's an excellent overreaction Monday poll question. By the way, and I'm doing this because, well, you're my good friend and co-host, but Brian Kelly at Michigan State, you in?
Yep, done. Sign him now.
Because that's his part of the country. You know,
In
Michigan,
fact,
Ohio.
Saw the picture with him with the hoodie on one of the websites, one of the socials I follow that covers Sparty. Had it there. Done. They got whooped on Michigan and looked awful again.
Okay.
But here's the thing, and we don't need to ever talk about that program because they're completely irrelevant. But they are like Arkansas. They still give too much money to the basketball program. And Tom, I love you, but 2000 was 25 years ago. So maybe you could win another natty for the alum that keep giving you money right off into the sunset, and we could start paying the football program what it needs to be paid. That's all.
Okay.
25 years ago, David. 25.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Okay, just making sure.
That game, that day, was my very first day on the radio in Southwest Florida. So I remember the day very well. I think it was April 3rd in 2000. But anyway, Miller and Moulton, can we just take a moment here? South Florida suffered a big loss, but not a devastating loss. It would have been a monster win that I think would have all but clinched a spot for them in the AAC title game. But Mark, as I understand AAC tiebreakers, all right, first off, there are 2 unbeaten teams right now in the American. Navy, who South Florida is going to play in a few weeks.
And Navy's played 5 conference games, by the way. They're 5-0 in conference. It needs to be noted.
And Tulane. Now, South Florida doesn't play Tulane, but Tulane plays Memphis on the road, and I think they might also play Navy, but they've got one other tough game. But here's my understanding, Mark. Remember, South Florida has already beaten North Texas, who only has 1 loss. Okay, in theory, they could still beat Navy. If Memphis takes care of business at home and beats Tulane, we could have this huge tie in the AAC with 4 or more teams with 1 loss. Well, let's give Memphis the benefit of the doubt because they've beaten South Florida and they've beaten Tulane. And now that they're ranked, in theory, if they keep winning, they'll be the highest ranked team. They'll be in the title game. But, Mark, then it comes down to South Florida against Navy, who they beat head-to-head. Then it would be South Florida against potentially Tulane, who they didn't play. But let's compare schedules. Then it's South Florida against even potentially North Texas, who they beat head-to-head. I still believe, if you look at AAC tiebreakers, that if South Florida wins out, they'll be in the AAC championship game. Now, it's possible that they don't. I mean, if Tulane goes to Memphis and wins, it's possible they're not in. But I really believe if South Florida wins out, and they're 10-2 with a 7-1 conference record, that they're going to be in the conference championship game. And that's all you need to be. Because you win it, you get the spot in the playoff. But they have no margin for error now. You know, we said at the beginning of the year that they had to go to Memphis and they had to go to Navy, 2 of the top 4 teams in the league. Well, they lost the one, so they have to win the other. And
all right,
Mark,
I don't have the current tiebreaker because I can't find it. I have 2024. What I am seeing is, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the highest winning percentages. So if Tulane only loses one, I guess they'd both be 2-loss teams. So
right.
Then they go to the next tiebreaker.
The next tiebreaker, then, if it's not head-to-head, the next tiebreaker, and they will not have played, is comparative schedule. So then it would be, and Mark, in my estimation, South Florida would get the nod in the title game over Tulane. First off, if you just go by conference, the win over Navy is better than any win Tulane would have on their schedule if they go to Memphis and lose. Okay, never mind if they have to go to Memphis and lose really close because South Florida only lost by 3. Never mind if you take the whole picture into account that, you know, Boise State, Florida, you know.
I got you. And by the way, Navy, who's undefeated in conference, has at North Texas, South Florida, at Memphis, Army, of course, and Notre Dame.
Right.
And remember that because, you know, they're going to lose. The odds are they're going to lose to the Irish. If they do, that's another loss. So when you look at that total record, they'll be in a similar state and maybe a worse state than South Florida.
And we've got South Florida going to Annapolis and winning. Now they have to. They did it a couple years ago. They need to do it again. But listen, we love Golish. Okay. I have him staying. You have him leaving. All right. But Alex, 14-7, early third quarter. All right. Or maybe it was second quarter. But anyway, you've got 4th and goal, 4th at the 7, 4th and 3 at the 7. You're up 7 on the road. What's wrong with kicking the damn field goal? I mean, come on, you're up 7. It's a 2-score lead. What is wrong with scoring points? You're going to get 10 to 12 possessions in the game. I'll say it again. If you kicked a field goal on every possession, you'd win 90% of your games. What is wrong with taking points when you're in the lead? I don't get it. And then bad break at the end. Memphis scores, you know, blame the South Florida defense, by the way. They had a whole quarter to get one stop. One stop, they couldn't do it. They had Memphis 4th and 8 on Memphis's side of the field on the final drive. They throw a 4-yard pass and can't get the guy tackled before he goes out of bounds for a first down. So the South Florida defense lost this game. But come on, coach, kick the damn field goal, and then a bad break at the end. They drive down in the final minute. They're in field goal range, and with 11 seconds to go, they take a shot in the end zone to win it. Incomplete, holding.
Holding, moves Grammatica back 10 yards, was not a good snap. It was low, and that may have thrown the timing off, and he missed the kick.
And by the way, to Jay Gunn in the Twitch chat room, no, I was watching it live in the Iowa press box, and I was saying out loud to no one, kick the field goal. I'm telling
Miller
you,
and Moulton.
this new way of coaching, it ain't working in my book.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeister's backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, the other one, David, my bigger one than the going for it, you know I've been this way, the when we start going for too early crap. South Carolina is down 14-6 to Alabama. They score. I think it's the first half. If not, it's early third. 14-12. They go for two. I'm in the car with Jake. We're taking Maddie to a party, Halloween party. I'm like, what are they doing chasing points here? You can put the point on the board. Then at the end, they'd be up 8, kicking the extra point to go up 9.
Listen, I don't chase points before the fourth quarter. Call me whatever you want to call me. I wouldn't do it. Listen, I didn't like Sean Payton. What'd they score yesterday to go up 20-10, and he went for 2. I just kicked the flipping extra point. I don't care if you make it. And he didn't, I don't think. But just kick the extra point. Kick the field goal. Especially, you were up 10 at the half, South Florida. Memphis takes the ball, takes 5 minutes off the clock, kicks a field goal. You get the ball, take 4 minutes off the clock. If you kick the field goal, 9 minutes has gone by. Memphis has made up no ground.
So we had a soccer tournament this weekend, which my team doesn't matter. They did just fine. Game before my daughter's game yesterday. 2 boys teams. One of them was a Naples travel club. And they're about the same. I think they're the same age as my daughter, just based on the field they were playing on. So think of 10, 11-year-old boys. And you know me. I mean, the refs are making so much money.
Right. $15 on a hot dog.
Right. And I will say a couple of the kids got hit. I mean, a little harder than I thought they'd get hit in a soccer game. And Dad starts flipping. And he's 30 yards to my left. And the team from Naples wears purple. And he's got his Minnesota Vikings shirt on because he must be from there. And he wants to match the team. And I'm watching him flip out. And I'm nudging Jake going, watch him. Watch him.
Here it comes.
And now he marches 30 yards. Now he's to the right of me by 5 yards because he's got to yell at the kids. And he starts yelling, just hit him. They're not going to call anything. And I let it go. And I let it go. And finally, he keeps yelling. And I said, you wonder why we don't have officials anymore for kids' sports? And damn, he didn't hear me because I wanted him to.
You sure he didn't hear you?
If he'd have heard me to turn around, there's not a doubt in my mind, just based on the guy.
Okay.
No, he lost the Miami-Stanford game. So he went 2-2 and lost his game of the week.
Yeah, Michael, he played well. They played well. Hope Sertan's okay. We pointed out both the Patriots and the Broncos when they were both 1-2. And they had games, Denver had a game in 2 weeks at Philly, and that schedule's getting easy.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Overreaction Monday. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Did you watch any of the World Series this weekend?
I did. I watched a decent bit of game one. And I think I've said it before. My kid went to East Carolina. That's where Yusevich went. He was telling me about Yusevich when he was a freshman because he's into the baseball team there. So I've watched this kid's career as a collegiate, and it's such a great story this year. He starts in Dunedin playing A-ball, and he's pitching game one of the flipping World Series.
Right.
I mean, just pause for a second.
Right.
That doesn't happen in, I guess it could happen in hockey, but it doesn't really happen. But it doesn't happen. That would be a guy starting in the ECHL being the goaltender in game one in the Stanley Cup final. Would be, and I know because there's no real A-ball in hockey, but that would be the equivalent.
I was going to say, would it actually have to be playing USHL or Canadian juniors even? Would that maybe be the A-ball?
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way because they don't go from junior.
Right, I know.
It's not. So that's the only equivalent I can give you.
Right,
is a guy that was drafted late or early, and they sent him down to the AA, and he makes his way up. But Yusevich started in A-ball, the Florida State League, which is now low A. It used to be high A. Now that's low A, right?
Right. He went low A to high A to double to triple to the majors, and now he's excelling at the majors. Wow.
Game one. So, yeah, I was into game one, and you and I, we won a series. We don't really give a damn who win. I picked LA in 6 for what it's worth, but it seems that most everybody's rooting for Toronto because the Dodgers have become the evil empire, even though Toronto's spending an ungodly sum of money themselves.
Don't you think the Yankees are calling up the Mets going, hey, look at that. We're not the villains we used to be. And Steve Cohen saying to Steinbrenner, you sure you're not the evil empire? He goes, that's not what I'm hearing. Not anymore.
And the other side of it is as I've said on the air and to friends, it's tough for me to dislike the Dodgers.
Right.
I know they're spending a ton of money, but Betts, fun to watch, great player, works his tail off every play.
Freddie Freeman
seems to be the genuine article as a human being.
Yes.
And he's a terrific player. Shohei, bet on it. He's really good.
See what you did there?
Right there, see?
Nice. Well played.
Thank you.
Well
played.
But
Yamamoto, a couple of complete games. Snell, I like this Dodger team. However they got it, but Toronto pounds them in game one.
Well, and they did it the Blue Jays way too. If there was a storyline in this, if you're into it, is that the Blue Jays struck out the second fewest times of all the teams in baseball. They struck out one more time than the Kansas City Royals did. So basically you got this Dodgers pitching staff, 4 number one starters and how dominant they've been in the playoffs. And you have the Jays who wear pitchers out because they take a lot of pitches, foul off a lot of pitches, put the ball in play. They don't strike out. Mark, in game one, the Jays struck out 4 times. 4 times. Wore Snell out so that by the 6th inning, he gives up a couple base runners and he's thrown 100 pitches. And they go to the bullpen with nobody out in the 6th. And let me tell you, if that's going to happen throughout the series, the Jays are going to win it. But then Yamamoto on Saturday says, just give me the ball, shut up.
Just give me the ball. Complete game. His second of the postseason. We don't get complete games anymore. And pitches a gem, they win. So we're tied 1-1 heading to tonight back in LA. No, I mean, and now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for games 3, 4, and 5. Perfect.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. A banged up Commanders team. So do I, kind of see what's coming tonight, Monday Night Football? I'll be paying attention to the baseball. Baseball will get the sound tonight with the game 3.
Ooh, look at that.
What were you and I begging for on Friday? Toronto, win game 1.
Yep, that's what we
win game 1.
Yep.
So I watched some baseball both nights. I was locked into college football Saturday night because the A&M LSU game was fascinating to me.
Well,
yeah.
It was also fascinating because LSU's leading by 5 at the half. And then an hour later, they're chanting "Fire Kelly."
Right.
I'm going to say it again. Mike Elko to Penn State. The A&M coach. Mike Elko to Penn State. Drinkwitz to Florida. Elko to Penn State. I know it's not who either fan base wants. I'm telling you, you'd both be lucky as blank to get them.
Then who gets the LSU job? I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, is it the guy at Vandy? Does he leave his alma mater to go coach LSU?
Okay, can you do this? Because you know how people overreact. What if we have a nice guy coach, what do? We hire a disciplinarian. If we have an offensive coach, what do? We hire a defensive coach next. Is it important since you hired an outsider? Although Nick Saban was an outsider. Remember, Nick Saban's whole history was
in the
Ohio,
Midwest.
Right. Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. His whole history was there. Okay, but do you hire the Tulane coach? He's got SEC coaching experience, and he knows Louisiana. And after this outsider experience and the fact, Mark, that you're having to pay him off to the tune of $54 million, do you maybe hire somebody who for the first contract is not as much money? It's not like if you lowball him, he's going to say no to the LSU job.
It's a great point. And we've wondered, do schools want to save a little bit on the coaching hire to have more for the portal and NIL department?
Listen, I said it before the 56-6. If I'm UCLA, I promote everybody. I promote the interim. Okay, I promote Neuheisel's kid and make him OC because why? I can get them on the cheap. They're there. They don't want to go anywhere. I'm going to give them a huge raise to what they're making now, but I don't have to pay James Franklin, Brian Kelly type money. And what can I do? I can spend that money on players because I need them.
It is fascinating. It leads to what our poll question is today. There's a little bit of snark with this poll question, but where will Lane Kiffin be coaching next year? There are really only 3 choices here: Ole Miss, Florida, LSU. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. That's how you vote. I picked Ole Miss. I have been steady saying Lane would stay. There was a lot of smoke Friday night that Florida had him. But not all the time where there's smoke, there's fire. There could be a contract in a drawer. We don't know. But Friday night, the Gator fan, they were doing their own Gator chomp.
I think they were a month early. I think you've put Lane in a very difficult position. Okay. If basically the word gets out he's taken the job, the team will lay down for him. Okay. And he doesn't want that. All right. So I think if this was late November, I would like the Gators' chances a lot better than all of this being done in late October. Because I don't think Lane's going to do what Jimbo did and sign the contract and put it in a drawer and then just quit coaching and recruiting. In which 6 weeks later we realized, oh wow, he's leaving for A&M. That report was right. He's got a contract in the drawer. I mean, Lane had to address his team about all the coaching rumors on Friday. It's one thing if it's the Friday of the Egg Bowl. I think it's another thing if it's a month earlier. I think the timing is bad for Florida. To get Lane. I think they would get him a month from now if the situation was the same, Mark.
So that's the poll question. And David just said it. He thinks the A&M coach to Penn State, and he thinks the Missouri coach to Florida. Hey, Gator fan, how you like us now? Miller and Moulton. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Todd and I are local. We're involved in our community. We live here, we work here, we're in our showroom every day. We love working with our guests. We love giving back to our community.
We are so excited about our new store. Same location, same team, new environment. Every day is like a grand reopening. Absolutely stunning when you walk through our doors now. Come experience the newness of the Diamond District. See what we've done.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Faro and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Faro and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Faro and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
It's the event everyone will be talking about when college basketball's biggest names take the court in Fort Myers. The Michigan State Spartans and the North Carolina Tar Heels headline the 2025 Skechers Fort Myers Tip-Off. Witness the excitement live and in person this Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena. The stage is set. Will you be there? Lock in your spot now at FortMyersTipoff.com/go. That's FortMyersTipoff.com/go. See you Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Happy birthday, Sharon. Anybody else think that on the road, and I'll even let him get his headsets on. You know, David, I really think you need a wardrobe change for your Monday regimen on the show. Or Tuesday, because you're in hotels that I would believe that 60 to 70% of these fine hotels you stay in for the National Football League have robes in the closet. And I think you should just do the show in a white robe every Monday and Tuesday.
Hold on. I got to check and see if this one does.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's fantastic. Did you lose a light? You're pretty dark. Did you turn a light off? You were way brighter a moment ago, and I don't know why. Like, I can barely see you.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. No.
That's fine. All right.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Exactly, Robes.
No, I'm not going to be sitting there with the bare chest. Come on now. We're at the Lowe's in Kansas City. 24th floor, by the way. Don't know how I got that.
Yeah, I don't think the higher floors are a benefit. You wait longer for the elevators. Give me the 4th floor. I don't care about the view. Get me out of there.
Robes wants us to dedicate the robe segment to him.
Yes.
That's probably it. It's probably, yeah, see, I go like that.
Yeah, you got to lose. You know what? You got to lose the robe. I hate to say it.
Ugh,
Wow, that sucks.
it does.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Mark Moscona will join us 1 hour from now on this Overreaction Monday edition of Miller and Moulton. You know what's a bummer? When
you putting the robe on from the hotel caused the lighting to go bad, so you didn't wear the robe. I suggested during the break, because I know that David stays in these high-end hotels. The one thing all high-end hotels have is the robe.
And in fact, the slippers are tucked into the pocket of the robe also. I mean, and every time I check, Mark is big into the mint on the pillow, the pull down, and the slippers being left for you on the side of the bed. I don't let anyone in the room. I don't care if they're bringing mints. Stay out of my room. Mark says it's without doubt the only reason to get a hotel room this nice is the turn down service.
Turned out, I will say, generally the sheets and the pillows in these hotels are top shelf too. I mean, everything about the eating is really nice. But to come back after a nice dinner and have that little mint on the pillow, that's a bonus. So I suggested to David to go hef and wear the robe
Right.
show, and he did. And there's a white balance thing with lighting, and it threw the computer off, and it made it look really dark. So we had to lose the robe. But that was top shelf. I appreciate your effort, David.
So once again, another reason to check us out occasionally, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, or on YouTube, the Miller and Moulton channel. You get the behind the scenes stuff. And yes, I put the robe on. It affected the lighting in a bad way. I had to take the robe off. We have a gentleman who I worked with in Fargo for 5 years who is called Robes, and that's also his Twitch handle. And he wondered, were we doing the segment in honor of him? Robes, you're worthy of a robe segment. Yes, we tried.
So quickly to review from last week, on Friday, we make our picks every Friday on this show, and Lee had a 2-2 week because he had a 2-team parlay, which he never does, and that parlay blanked the bed because part of it was the Dolphins losing, and they won and won big, which ended that parlay. And the second half of the Canes was enough for Miami to cover over Stanford. He had Vandy and A&M. 2-2. Unfortunately, Lee had been rolling on his games of the week.
Yes.
He lost. He had the Steelers last night, and the Steelers went down. I finally had a winning week, 3-2. After 3 straight losing weeks, still 5 games under 500 at 20-25. I needed the Cowboys to bail me out. When I saw the weather in the Oregon-Wisconsin game, I went, I have no chance. It
Right.
was a monsoon.
7-0 at the half, 14-0 going to the fourth. I was having a really good weekend with picks. I'm off to a 2-1 start. The one wasn't official yet, but I'm at the game. I have the Gophers and the points. They're down 31-0 at the half. So, okay, this is a loser. But my games are coming in.
Fire up
Boom.
chips. David going Central Michigan because they were
Again.
playing UMass.
Again.
And David is betting against UMass. They're the worst team. If
Right.
it's not UMass, it's Sam Houston, but they're one of the 2 worst teams in Division I football. And they
then-
get slaughtered by the Chips, so things are going well. He's 2-1.
Right, because Vandy gets a late score and they're beating Missouri, and Navy covered against FAU. It's over. They were up like 23 points with 2 minutes to go. So, they're laying 14.5. It's over. And, the game's over, and go to dinner and come back, and I'm just going and checking everybody's picks, and I write Navy down as a win. And then for the heck of it, I'm going through the scores, and I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean they only won by 10? They were up 23 with 2 minutes to go. FAU scores, recovers an onside kick, scores again. Holy blank. And that started.
That pushed the snowball.
Yep.
That pushed it down the side of the mountain. And you know what you do then?
Oh,
you gain momentum and
Oh.
you get bigger. And David had Atlanta, lane 7.5.
Yeah,
That rolled him over.
That's all right.
He had-
I had the Bears. They get up to 6, and that Lamar's not playing. The line goes from 6.5 to 2.5. I got them at 6.5, and they score.
And it may have been where the KOD, the kiss of death, came from, because David texted me Sunday morning that the Bears pick looks even better now.
And
which
of course it did.
Which it
Right.
did. The line
Right.
dropped 4 points, but when he made the bet, the Bears are getting 6.5.
I've got the Bengals laying 6.5. They're up 14 with 10 minutes to go. They're up. So that's a loser. And then
Carolina.
And then Buffalo decided, I challenged them. I did. That's on me. I challenged the Bills publicly. Word got back to them, and they were like, seriously, dude? You're challenging us? We've won the second most games in the league over this decade. What are you talking about?
But
they're Carolina. Dude, what are you doing?
But, with the Baltimore win, with the Houston win, a lot of football left. I will say that Bengal loss is just a terrible.
Oh, they'd be 4-4. They'd be a half a game behind Pittsburgh. And in theory, Burrow's 6 weeks away.
Right. And how did they do against Pittsburgh? Yeah.
They beat them. Right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. That is probably the Falcons and the Bengals. Those coaches will look back at this week as when it all went wrong if they're out of a job at the end of the year. And I think they both could be.
Okay, let me get this straight. The Bengals scored 38 points at home against the Jets. Not only did they not cover, they lost.
They lost.
What?
Right. But now, yeah, I mean, the Patriots are throwing a wrench in this thing, and the Colts, off to the terrific start, the Colts could end up being the 1 seed. The Patriots right now are the 2 seed.
Right. Because they're half a game. 6-2 to 5-2. So they're in first, and B, even if the Bills had played the same number of games, they beat Buffalo. So technically, New England's in first place.
But the Broncos are the 3, the Steelers are the 4. They're the division leaders. The Bills are the top wild card. The Chargers, who, boy, they've been Jekyll and Hyde, but they're getting healthier. They're 5-3. But right now, you've got the Jags in the 7 hole. Tied with Kansas City. They beat them head-to-head, so they own the tiebreaker. Anybody think that's going to be the case when the season's over?
Well, and also the Jags with the week off, and if the Chiefs win tonight, they'll be 5-3, and they jump ahead of the Jags. Tied in the loss column, but they jump ahead of them.
And the Jags
Mark.
are reeling a little bit right now. That offense is struggling. But, you mentioned Houston. They might not be able to get the division, but Houston could be in this wild card race.
Oh, boy, I don't know. Put it this way. Do you think the second place finisher in the South is going to be better than the third place finisher in the West?
Do I think they're going to be a better football team? No, I don't.
I said
Could
finisher.
they have a better record? Very possible.
Okay. All right.
And I know I'm kind of
No. But you're counting on Houston, winning some division games coming up, and they did have a challenging schedule to start. And no, I know what you're counting on. And technically, you're only a game back in the loss column. You're 3-4, right?
Yep.
So,
and they play one another at the Chargers late in the season. That could be for something.
Yeah, that Houston probably in a must-win situation there, but if they win it, could be the wild card tiebreaker.
Now, the difference is Houston's playing that first-place schedule, so those games out will be a little more difficult. They've still got to play the Chiefs. They've got the Colts, obviously, a division game on their schedule remaining, so we'll see. But the AFC tightened up a little bit yesterday.
It did. And the Chiefs, 10.5-point favorites tonight. Mariota starting for the Commanders, and Kansas City just like that. And remember, 0-2 start. Remember, Monday night loss to the Jags, 2-3. Yeah, win tonight, they're 5-3.
And Pittsburgh 4-1, now 4-3, looking much more like the team that we thought they were going to be.
And also looking as if maybe that division's just a one-bid division. I mean, that's the other thing. Right.
Absolutely.
Which none of us, I think, thought at the beginning of the season, thought there'd be at least 2 coming from the North.
But the Patriots clearly are this year's surprise team in the AFC. Struggled a little bit early with Cleveland. Then Drake May found himself, and they just blew him apart.
And they've won 5 in a row. They haven't had a letdown. They've had a bad quarter or so. They were not great in the first half against Cleveland, but that's a tough defense. But they have not had a letdown. They swept that 3-game road trip. Now they come home. Remember, they were 1-2, but they had lost 2 at home.
Month of November for the Patriots. Home for the Falcons. At the Bucks. Home for the Jets. At Cincinnati.
Well, when you're 6-2, you wouldn't take a 2-2 month. I think when the season started, you would have taken a 2-2 November.
Right. But if you get a 3-1 November, wow, they're sitting there with 9 with a lot of football left.
Well, and they're sitting there then looking at Buffalo, who's going to have to come to Foxborough, and they're looking at Buffalo going, hey, guess what? This is for the AFC East. You ready? Let's go.
So interesting. In a lot of blowouts yesterday. One close game in the NFL all week long. Not a good, and it wasn't a good NFL schedule yesterday.
No.
But the games did not go, in some cases, the way we thought they would.
But you know what's a bummer? When your team wins and you're not excited about it.
Hello, Miami Dolphins.
Exactly. Man, that's a bummer. Your team went. Your team played really well. My goodness, you start thinking, man, if this team shows up, but you're 2-6, and you've already decided you want a new coach, you want a new general manager, you want a new quarterback, you want a new direction, and so then what happens? They play the way they're capable of.
Yeah, they stopped the run. The front seven looked like what we thought they were going to be this year. That was supposed to be the best part of the team.
And the quarterback protected the ball and threw 4 touchdowns and was efficient, and they ran the ball effectively. My goodness. Yeah. And you're like, damn, this is costing us draft picks here. I was counting on a top 5 pick in the draft. Now look what you're doing to me.
Yeah, now you're 5th. By the way, you were 2nd when the day started. And New Orleans is back on the clock right where Miller and Moulton had them.
There you go. Way to go, Saints. Way to go.
We made 3 under bets, David. We bet under on the Saints, we bet under on the Giants, and we bet under on the Miami Dolphins.
We're getting a lot of picks wrong, but when it comes to our money, we are getting them right. We went 2-0 baseball over-unders. All right. May go 3-0 NFL over-unders.
Right now, when the Giants is the one you're most worried about, and 5.5's the number, and they're a little less than halfway through with a 2-6 record. Yeah, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it turns out, that Broncos debacle could make us some money there. That could be the difference. 5-12, 6-11 right there. Could be a moneymaker, that game. Turn around and go, well, fourth quarter wasn't so bad. Helped the draft position and made Mark and me a little bit of coin.
Speaking of the Broncos, they whooped up on the Cowboys yesterday. Do you feel differently about Dallas? And I don't mean you, David, but those out there that thought the Cowboys were prepared to make a little run. Well, they played a good defense, and they got shut down. Wanted to see what they could do scoring against a good defense because Dak had been very impressive this year. But he and they ran into what I think's the best defense in the league. And their defense is not good. And Bo Nix, like Russell Wilson, took advantage of it.
Well, the other thing, the Cowboys always seem to be one thing or another. Like, Dallas's only road win so far this year is the Jets. Right now, Dallas seems to be a different team at home than, on the road. So, and it's a shame. They've got 2 winnable games here, Arizona and the Raiders. I mean, they really do. But then it's Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, back to back to back, the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. So the next 2 weeks are, if you're a Cowboys fan, they're must the next 2 weeks. You got to be 5-4-1 before that 3-game stretch.
And the Broncos keep beating the teams you're supposed to beat. If you can split with the Chiefs, you win the division. It's that simple. You don't have to get them twice. You got to get them once because your schedule's favorable. And they've had some games that you thought they were going to blow, and they figured out ways to win them. That is the sign of a good team. The reasons we compliment Tampa should be the same reasons you compliment the Denver Broncos.
They overcame that mess of a Colts loss by rallying against the Giants, and they may be on their way. Miller and Moulton, Matt Moscona in 45 minutes. This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not 1 but 2 elite women's college basketball tournaments, the Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power 4 teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance. For tickets, go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Football season is back and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Fly Panda, I didn't go anywhere last night for barbecue. I forget the name of the place last year. I met a longtime listener of the show. He took me to Andy Reid's favorite barbecue place. It was tremendous. The hotel recommended I'm downtown. I'm not far from Mahomes and Kelsey's place, 1587.
Looks like a pretty high-end restaurant, though.
Yeah, I didn't go.
I don't blame you. So we went out to dinner Saturday. My daughter had a Halloween party, and the boy was here. So the three of us go out to dinner, and early, we wanted to get home. We got home like late first quarter of the LSU game, and get the TV situated. And it's like, we put the wings on. They're down 4-0 after the first, and we are both MFing them. Here they go, back to normal. Oh, they get a goal. They get another one. They end up winning the game, down 4 spit, and came back and won 6-4.
Nice.
Because I'm flipping every once in a while during commercials, seeing what Miami's doing. Okay, 35-7, I'm done with. I don't need to watch that. And
I couldn't believe it. We were getting a bite to eat early second quarter at 7-0 Stanford. I'm like, what the heck? I think that's where I went, Robes, because I thought it was a 30-something. But Andy's place, it's like in a strip mall. You would never think that this is like a great barbecue joint. The food was tremendous.
better than McDonald's?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this Overreaction Monday, at least in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Southwest Florida. Final hour of the show, live Oak Lake City, surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice, and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question is just the one, right? Where's Lane going?
Yes, just the one poll question. We could ask Dolphin fan how upset you are that they won yesterday. Extremely. This is typical, or I love when they win. Like this texter, Pelican Roofing of Florida, text lines, Pelican Roofing of Florida, 1-866-9-PELICAN, 1-866-9-PELICAN, statewide, commercial, residential. Make sure you call them and tell them Miller and Moulton sent you. Texter, I hate the Dolphins. They're like that one high school girlfriend who's always messing with you and leading you on to give you hope and then rip it away. Okay. I will say he did send a text after the show on Friday that I've got to get out on the air. Use code multiple arrests for a 30% profit boost on a 3-leg parlay with DraftKings, the official gambling partner of the NBA.
Yep. Outstanding. Those won't get old.
No, they won't.
They will not get old.
No, and there's college basketball scandals going on right now. But they have 3 players at Eastern Michigan that won't talk to them. They've all graduated, and they said, yeah, we're not talking to you. Another college basketball name that's been brought up. Trying to figure out, David, and I don't know if it's a gambling thing, if it's because I think it was the Caps fired their assistant coach, the Washington Capitals.
Yes, it's not a gambling thing. It's a domestic violence thing.
Okay. I because it just said, suspended immediately by the NHL, and then the Caps fired him. And
the Caps fired him, or the Caps suspended him, I guess, midway through training camp. And then, the NHL said he's banned for a year, and so the Caps fired him. He interviewed for 2 head coaching jobs. He was the finalist, I think, for the Blackhawks job.
And Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so some teams dodged one there. So he, of course, denies everything. But,
it's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So just there's always stuff off the field, ice court going on.
Well, yeah, and then not to belabor this story any longer, but, Chauncey Billups is not the only athlete involved in this story. It will be interesting to see, will there be charges for any other athletes? Like, I guess one of the unnamed athletes was Antonio Gates, who was used as a hook to one of these fixed high stake poker games. I mean, this is, I mean, was Chauncey involved far more often? Is that why he got charged? There are some that believe that this is selective prosecution here, the not fans of the NBA, so they're pushing that as opposed to, protecting other leagues. I would like to think the Justice Department doesn't act that way, but I'm naive, but I'm not that naive. So, but there will be other names that come out here. Also, is it Michael Beasley, who's been waiting and waiting, still hasn't signed with the team? He didn't get charged in the essentially point shaving parlay bet, even though that's what he's been alleged, and he's sitting out trying to clear his name so he doesn't get arrested. Therefore, isn't he cleared? Can't he now resume his career and be signed? I mean, there's a lot of tentacles to this, and I don't think that Thursday's presser is the last we're going to hear of arrests and indictments in this story.
You're probably right, but the investigation's obviously done. And if the investigation's done, I mean, David, maybe I'm really dumb. And look, it wouldn't be the first time any of you listening go, no kidding, Miller. And I don't blame you. But they have this grandiose press conference. Patel wearing the jacket. I mean, the FBI, I mean, they couldn't have made that look any more like grandstanding than they did. They announced the 31 arrests, the 4 mob families that they got people in. Well, if there's more arrests coming, when? And I'm being serious.
Well,
because
I know, but
you've let everybody know what you found out. It would seem to me, and I could be nuts, that's the end of the arrest. But as you've said, there are NFL players they have talked about. There's, all of a sudden their stories have stories.
Well, listen, I'm just going by what a guy who covers the Justice Department said late last week. He said 90% of those who get arrested and indicted by the FBI plea. Of those that don't, 90% get convicted. So, Mark, the reason why I think there will be more names and more arrests are people are going to start talking. Is there anybody else involved? Hell yeah. Get me a Coke and grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Yeah. So, but anyway, and like we think this is going to be the last one of these involving prop bets. I'm telling you, if I was a league, if I could, I'd ban it.
Well, they
ban it.
They can't. They don't. They're not the ones that dictate that.
Well, if I was the league,
see now. Okay, well, if you were the league, you'd do what? I'm sorry,
and I'm being very serious about this. And I know that I'm in bed with them, and I've taken huge endorsement deals. I would turn around and say, I'm willing to accept a lot less money. This is going to cost you money. We have to eliminate the prop betting on my sport. Can't do it. Can't do it. I can't. I could hire 8,000 people to look after gambling on a day-by-day basis. I will not be able to stop this. There will be another press conference at some point in time. Okay, I've got to. I can deal with the Knicks -4.5. That I feel I can handle. And the authorities can handle, and the Vegas and the gambling can handle. The prop bet, I don't know how we ever get a handle on that. I'm serious. I don't know how you do it. It's too easy to manipulate, especially, Mark, in baseball and basketball. I'm not as worried about it in the NFL, believe it or not, even though I know it's a much bigger sport and there's much more bet on it. But I'm terrified if I'm Adam Silver, and I'm not sleeping that well if I'm Rob Manfred either. I would eliminate prop betting, and I am willing to accept far less money. And I would turn around, look at the other owners and go, I know you want to fire me. I know this is going to cost you money, but is it going to cost you as much as what a gambling scandal could do to our league? Think about how much money it will cost us if people start thinking our games are not on the up and up.
Look, I hear you. I hear you. You have no hand if you're the league. You don't. But can I meet you somewhat halfway? It is my understanding that the Vegas casinos have limits, lower limits on prop bets than what you can get on the DraftKings, FanDuel, etc. What if we just put limits on the prop bets? That you can't bake the, that maybe it's a $5,000, maybe it's $1,000, but you can't have 200, when $200,000 is being thrown on a prop bet for a player's under on March 22nd, it does throw up red flags. Now, in order to get to that number, you'd have to have 10 times as many people, 20 times as many people betting on it, which would put up more red flags. I don't know if you can get rid of them, David, but I think you can limit them.
Okay. I would be willing to leave money on the table to do as much as I could to limit the damage that I think could be done by prop betting and make it essentially not worth the mob or anybody else's time because there's so little money to be made here. If you know what I mean. You're better off.
I'm with you. I understand completely.
Because it's terrifying. The whole time it's terrified me. And I'm pro gambling. Miller and Moulton, we joked about running for Congress 12, 15 years ago. We were pro sports betting. We were pro legalize of marijuana. Okay, regulate and tax the out of both. We'd have the best schools, fire, police departments in the country. Okay, that was our platform. Now everybody's taking our platform from us. We got to find new stuff to run on.
So our political career ended before it started. I was just in the back. David was the one up front. There's no way I'd get elected. He'd have a shot.
Mark said, listen, I'm all whatever you can do to get a suppressor, Moulton. Whatever you can do to get a suppressor.
So, and the fact that college players now are allowed to bet freely, who's more vulnerable to be taken advantage of than an 18, 19-year-old athlete who's not really made money yet? And I know with NIL, they're making some.
They're not allowed to bet on their own sports, though. They're not allowed to bet on college sports.
It doesn't matter. Once they start betting and start losing money, and they need to make it, and someone comes up and says, I got to wait for you to get your money back.
Okay, now, listen, it's an awful look, and goodness knows you and I hate the NCAA, think they should have been put out of business long ago, and they're nothing more than event planners, and they're corrupt ones at that. But legally, how can the athletes not be allowed to wager on the NFL when every other person in the state they live in who's 18 of age or older can? That's my thing. Legally, how could the NCAA prevent anyone working in an athletic department or a athlete who's 18 or older from betting when their neighbors, when their parents, when their family members can? To me, I think this was their throwing their hands up going, we're going to lose this in court. We might as well just go all the way.
And David, just because marijuana is legal everywhere, there are employers that say you can't use marijuana and be employed here.
I hear you.
So I would think that they could simply say, if you're a Division I college athlete, you're not allowed to gamble, or you could lose your scholarship. I don't know. And at the very least, it's a really bad look.
Awful look. And the timing even worse than the look. Miller and Moulton, Matt Moscona in 25 minutes.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Darren Heitner a couple of minutes ago. I find it striking how athletic directors seem to face little accountability for signing coaching contracts with enormous buyouts. It raises questions about how much actual authority they have in these decisions and whether their multi-million-dollar salaries are justified. I've got to say that's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black. He's an agent.
Right.
I mean, he's right. Don't know, Fly Panda. I know they can bet on pro sports. I don't know if they can bet on college sports that aren't their own. Good question, though.
Yeah, Phil, I don't know if you were listening to us or you're just talking in the chat room, but yeah, we had mentioned that. I don't know, Fly. I know they can bet on pro sports. Excuse me. I don't think so. I think they're only allowed to bet on pro, but I'll look it up. No, they can't. No, so college athletes cannot bet on college sports.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Matt Moscona does afternoon drive in Baton Rouge in New Orleans. We had him on before the season started and asked him, so Brian Kelly, he goes, LSU's not A&M. It would have to go horribly wrong. Well, 5-3 is horribly wrong in Baton Rouge, especially with Alabama and a few other tough games on the schedule. I mean, they'll be bowl eligible, but I don't know how much more they're going to be than that the way they're playing right now. So he's out.
And apparently it started over an argument.
Right?
Wasn't the intention to get rid of the LSU coach. But Miller and Moulton went to meet with, Brian Kelly went to meet with the athletic director. And the athletic director said some things, and then Brian said some things, and then the athletic director said some things, and Brian said some more things, and Brian got fired.
Right.
That's really the long, I'm not really messing around there. That's, from all accounts, hey, fire your OC. Well, if I'm going to fire the OC, I might as well fire the O-line coach. And the fireworks erupted, and all of a sudden, Brian's out of a job. And Miller and Moulton can respect that.
Yeah.
We've been in that room.
Yeah,
I've gotten up and walked out of that room.
I cleaned out my desk and went home for a 4-day weekend. Okay. So we've been there. No, we can relate. We can relate. Yeah. I went home, practice started without me for 2 days. I was like, I'm done.
In fact, when they one time wrote a newspaper article on our show, I literally said, well, I can be difficult to work with.
Right.
I'm very passionate about my job, and sometimes it can be taken the wrong way. I know that.
That was a nice way of saying how Miller and Moulton really can be. Although I do think most of those days have passed.
I agree.
You're in your mid-50s. I'm nearing 60. I think most of those days have passed. Okay. Only took about 17 firings between the two of us. And, here we are on our third, fourth, or fifth act, whatever it is. And, now maybe we're beginning to play well with others. You know why? Because there's no one else to play with. But,
But Brian Kelly will not be unemployed long.
Probably not. Can I ask you, and I'll being very serious here, I've had 2 long discussions about this with just, buddies of mine, in which I said, do you think legally, the coaches who sign these contracts with offsets, meaning that, we owe you the money, but you have to actively be looking for work. And if you get a job that pays you $6 million a year and we're paying you $9 million a year, then we're only going to have to pay you $3 million because you're making $6 million now at your new job. There are other coaches who have been fired who they're getting the money. Period. They can start a new job tomorrow. The old school has to pay them in full. But Brian Kelly and James Franklin both have offset language in their contracts. They have to be looking for work. And then if they get work, all right, the new salary gets reduced from the old. So essentially, they're probably only going to make what they're making now. I mean, in a way, they're almost working for free. It's just that the letterhead on the top left corner of the check every 2 weeks is different. But Mark, do you think legally, and obviously you and I are not lawyers, we didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn Select last night, blah, blah, blah. But do you think, like if I'm James Franklin, say I'm going to Virginia Tech, do you think I can sign a contract for $2-3 million instead of $6 to $8 million, say, which is obviously not, Ohio State, Michigan coaching money, but it's probably what the next coach of Virginia Tech is going to make if they're not James Franklin or Brian Kelly. So sign me for $2 to $3 million. Let's take that $4 to $6 million and either A, spend it on my staff, or B, spend it on the players. Because, like, if I'm James Franklin, Virginia Tech, the UCLA job, I'm thinking, hey, no sense you guys breaking the bank here. I'm making my money. I just want to have a job. Okay. I want to take care of my staff, and I want us to have $4 or $5 million laying around to have the best damn roster we can. Do you think legally they can get away with that?
David, honestly, I have no idea if there's something in that clause that says, working for far below the average salary of a Power 4 coach is unacceptable. You have to get, I would, because on paper, if that language isn't in there, then how could it be illegal? But if it says you have to at least be trying to earn the going rate.
Right. Like
it wouldn't, because they're not going to be earning, like you just pointed out, Brian Kelly and James Franklin are not going to make at their next jobs what they were making at the Penn State and LSU job. They're not.
Right. But if I'm Brian Kelly, couldn't I say to Michigan State, listen, get me out of Louisiana. I'd love to come back to Michigan. Let's do 5 years, $20 million, $4 million a year, because I'm getting $5 million from LSU, and we can spend the money that you've been spending on coaches, and I can put the best staff together in the world, or we could spend it on players. I'll save you $5 million a year thanks to LSU.
But you got to spend it. I don't care if you spend it on me, but you've got to spend it.
Right. You can't spend it.
And if you're, Wisconsin's going to be in this boat soon. He's not keeping that job.
Well, it's funny. I actually think Luke Fickell has more of a chance, only because the AD came out strongly 2 Sundays ago and said that basically we're all failing here. We didn't commit to Luke. Luke's made mistakes, and we haven't supported him, and it's time for us to get all in. I will say Barry Alvarez then went on the Barry Alvarez show on Monday and basically blistered the Wisconsin fans who wanted Luke Fickell fired, which I found surprising. I mean, basically told the Wisconsin fan base, if you haven't played or you haven't coached, you don't know anything about football. And there aren't a whole lot of people that could probably say that to the Wisconsin fan base. In fact, he might be the only one who could get away with it.
So, by the way, obviously we know Penn State, LSU, Florida, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Stanford's got an interim coach. They're getting a new coach. Virginia Tech and UCLA. That's just the Power 4 jobs. Colorado State, Kent State, who started with an interim coach this year, Oregon State, and UAB. That's already.
That's 12.
That's
And
already.
And the feeling is, you mentioned Wisconsin, Mike Norvell at Florida State. I mean, that would be 2 more Power 4 jobs. That would make 10 Power 4 jobs available, by the way.
I mean, Jonathan Smith at Michigan State is not safe.
Right, there's 11. I mean, this could be, my goodness.
NFL, hold my beer for your Black Monday.
Right. Now, I mean, there's twice as many Power 4 schools as NFL jobs, but, I mean, it almost begs the question, who are you going to give all these jobs to?
Which means somebody's got to hire assistants, if you know what I mean. Like
Well, right. I mean, it's why if I was UCLA, I would promote everybody. And, obviously they've shown they can coach. Okay, but we got a lot more wrong with this program than just, whatever deficiencies you thought we had in coaching. Okay, we need more players. We may need a few more better coaches. I can save some money by promoting everybody who's on the staff currently.
You're so right with UCLA because they're broke. They are not. I mean, I know it's Big Ten money, everybody, but they had to borrow money. I said this before. They had to borrow money from the university to pay off athletic department debts. If there's any school where it makes the most sense to be cost conscious for your head coach, it's the Bruins, because they've got a lot to fix there before they're even a relevant Big Ten program, let alone a good Big Ten program. Miller and Moulton, they're not afraid to spend the money in Baton Rouge. We'll talk with Matt Moscona about what's next for the Tigers, Miller and Moulton.
This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not 1 but 2 elite women's college basketball tournaments, the Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power 4 teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance. For tickets, go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
A puck, and believe me, there was one of those in the Eagles-Giants game too. Sometimes it's done inadvertently. But sometimes they just screw up.
But the Tampa game was unusual because they said they come back and say the play's dead because they blew the whistle. They
Right.
run the play again on replay. Like they ran
Right.
it, and the announcers are like, "Did you hear a whistle? I didn't."
Right.
I
I
mean,
know. Well, never. And in the Giants-Eagles game, I mean, there's no blow the whistle my ass. I mean, that's a horrendous piece of officiating.
by the way, for those of you wondering, and to those of you at Kelly's Fish House who listen apparently via Twitch or YouTube, because I don't think I mentioned Big Jimmy on the air. I thought I just mentioned him in commercial break. So Kelly's Fish House, thanks for listening. But so I'm on 13 on Friday, and I see that I missed a call from Big Jimmy.
Okay.
So I call him back, and he's like, "Hey, got your crab? Mom's got to take Dad to the doctor. Might be a little later." I say, "Hey, I'm not even planning on getting there till 5:30-ish. Is that okay?" He's like, "Perfect." And then he says, "You do a radio show?" As a matter of fact, I do. He goes, "Yeah." I says, "I was picking up ice at Kelly's Fish House, and they told me you were talking about me. Appreciate the shout out."
And you're like, I don't think I mentioned you by name.
Oh, yeah, I did. I
okay.
mentioned Big Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Turns out he played for Mississippi State, coached in the area, and now he's a commercial fisherman. Coached for about 7 years and gave enough back to the sport, if you will. But I didn't get to meet him. I met his mom and dad. Miss Kelly she's a very nice lady. But it was out in the sticks of Golden Gate.
Nice.
Which is great
Nice.
because you pass their house is fine. It's just a normal ranch house, right?
Right.
But you go by these houses that have been knocked down and they've built these compounds. And his house has got, 60 crab traps. Yeah, he's awesome. I can start working these country club people to buy more stone crabs. Maybe I'll get mine for free this year.
And I just going to reiterate this again. The reason why, as a commissioner right now, I might be very hard line and hard ass about the gambling, and it may be too late, but there are enough questions about all of the officiating in all the leagues, particularly basketball and football, that I can't be getting hit on both fronts. I got to take one off the table. If I'm Penn State, I would not. No. Brian Kelly doesn't play well with others. And I like him as a coach, but he doesn't play well with others.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Matt Moscona. Afternoon drive in both New Orleans and Baton Rouge. He does a very popular Locked On LSU podcast as well. Follow Matt on X at Matt Moscona, Moscona. Matt, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this on short notice. We had you on before the season. I think it was Mark who asked you, hey, if things go badly with Brian Kelly, and you said, well, guys, it'll have to go really badly because LSU's not A&M. Was Saturday night worth him being fired over, or did LSU act too quickly? Or when you left the stadium Saturday, did you know he wasn't coaching against Alabama?
Whew, well, there's a lot to unpack. I still maintain, guys, and it wasn't even that I thought if things would have to go really badly. I didn't think there was any way they'd fire him because I didn't think LSU would ever pay that buyout based on, not my opinion, based on high-level conversations I've had with people who would actually write the checks and make the decision. Even last week, guys, after LSU lost to Vanderbilt, and I was in Nashville, and that was the LSU Board of Supervisors trip. So there's one road game a year where the whole board goes, and they wear their gaudy purple blazers, and they have a board dinner, and they're out on the field and whatever. Even after LSU lost to Vanderbilt, the sentiment was they lost two close road games to top 10 teams. There was no thought, conversation, consciousness, anything of firing Brian Kelly when they kicked off against Texas A&M. And that went so south, so badly that it's my understanding during the game is when some of those conversations about appetite for contributing to buyout started happening with boosters. And it got to the point where it was serious enough that Scott Woodward fired Brian Kelly around lunchtime on Sunday. And that was just the start of the story because the governor and the board and other boosters got involved because of the nature of the buyout and how much this is going to cost, because it's not just Brian Kelly's $54 million buyout. It's buying out the rest of the staff. It's hiring a new staff, a new coach. I mean, this is going to run north of $100 million all in to get Kelly and his staff out and a new staff in. So for a program that's, I would not describe LSU as a poverty program, but they are not a wealthy program like A&M or the Texas oil school monies. It's just, it was a dramatic shift in a very short amount of time.
Do you think that Scott Woodward was planning on firing Kelly when the meeting started? Because there's a lot of talk about what happened. Hey, fire this guy. I don't want to fire this guy, or I'm firing everybody, or whatever the case may be. Could Kelly have saved his job in that meeting on Sunday?
No. And I'm told that Kelly's agent, Trace Armstrong, did try to get LSU to walk it back because what happened, and guys, you got to sort of understand how Louisiana politics works. And we're a weird state, man. We still operate under the Napoleonic Code. We've got Louisiana politics are just, it creates weird bedfellows. And y'all have covered sports a long time. Have you ever heard of the governor of a state getting involved with firing a football coach?
No, hiring, but never firing. No.
It's so bizarre because Woodward fired Kelly, and then the governor stepped in and tried to claim that Woodward didn't have the autonomy to make that decision, which of course he does. He's the athletic director. But you have a circumstance where the governor or the athletic director are at political odds. They're going through the process right now of hiring a new university president, so there's a weird power gap in the middle. And so what ended up happening, guys, is that last night the governor, the board of supervisors, and select boosters ended up meeting for about 3 hours, maybe about 2.5 hours, to determine what they were going to do about this buyout. Were they going to try to mitigate it, negotiate it, however may happen? But ultimately, they landed where they did with Brian Kelly being fired, and as far as the buyout, sorry, it's my son in the back seat. And as far as the buyout, they haven't come to an agreement yet. So they're just going to continue paying Brian Kelly his monthly payment per his contract, and they'll cross the bridge with the buyout whenever they get to that.
Matt Moscona, afternoons, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, does the Locked On LSU podcast. Follow him on X at Matt Moscona, Moscona. Scott Woodward can't be allowed. He's the guy that hired Jimbo at A&M and gave him that contract. I mean, he's responsible for nearly $130 million in buyouts of his last two coaches. He can't be allowed to hire the next guy, can he?
I don't think Scott Woodward will, partly because of the conversation we're just having. The governor wants a new athletic director. Now, the governor can't hire or fire the AD, but ultimately the president and the board of supervisors do that. Well, the governor appoints members of the board, and the board right now are going through the process of hiring a new president, which, of course, is going to be rubber stamped by the governor. So I do expect that there's going to be leadership change within LSU athletics in relatively short order. I don't think in a week or so, but in the coming months, yes. And whoever that person is, it'll be interesting with the timeline, guys, because remember, you got a December signing period, the new portal window in January. If Scott Woodward isn't going to make the hire and they don't have a president in place and then subsequently a new athletic director in place, a football coach is going to be hired before that decision is made. So you could have a situation where LSU's general manager, Austin Thomas, could very well be leading this search and reporting directly to the governor on that sort of thing, which is, again, so bizarre to say. But Louisiana's a weird state, man. Our politics here are weird, and how many cooks there are in the kitchen with different things where they really don't belong. But long way of saying, no, I don't think Scott Woodward is going to be making the next hire. I will also say, I think Scott Woodward's a great athletic director. I mean, he hired Jay Johnson, the baseball coach. He got the deal done with Kim Mulkey. And I don't even know necessarily that Kelly was a bad hire. I think this was a dramatic overreaction to a bad game, a terrible game, that's going to cost $100 million. And the thing about Jimbo, too, the initial Jimbo contract wasn't the bad thing. The extension that the next AD gave Jimbo after the COVID year is really what put them in a bad spot. So context matters with all of those things. But yeah, I don't think Scott Woodward will be making the next hire.
But just the void of power at LSU, what you described, and Florida fans understand they don't have a president either, and there's an AD that may get an opportunity to hire a third coach, even though the boosters are going to be the ones doing it. Specifically with LSU and this high buyout, now they're in a spot. If they want to go get Lane, let's say, or whoever it is they get to go get, there's going to be a buyout involved. When are the schools going to take control back and get some of the power back so that these ridiculous buyouts are not on contracts anymore? And with the void of power at LSU right now, is that possible, Matt?
Well, specifically with Lane Kiffin, what I was told this morning is that his buyout to leave Ole Miss is not very steep at all. It may be as little as $5 million. The buyout for them to fire him is $36 million. So, but specifically with buyouts, listen, I agree. It feels like the market is primed for a reset. But the problem is, if you're an athletic director and you want to hire a prominent coach, to lure that coach from a stable situation, you have to promise them something significant. If you just look at Brian Kelly when he got hired away from Notre Dame, he could have spent the rest of his career at Notre Dame if he wanted to. Well, how was LSU able to entice him to leave the stability of that job? It was a 10-year deal worth $95 million with 90% guaranteed. So if it went south, he was going to get his money. I mean, that's why these buyouts exist, because the agents are able to negotiate it, because they're negotiating from a position of very strong leverage, because they want the coach, and the coach doesn't necessarily have to leave where they are. Could we see a different day and age in the NIL portal era where contracts are structured differently? Maybe where like a coach is paid per win, hypothetically. What if you're paid $1 million a win and you go 10-2? Well, you make $10 million. You go 7-5, you make $7 million. Maybe we see that happen, but I don't know what coach would sign off on that from jump. They're going to always want protection. And and guarantees, and I don't blame them for that.
Matt, how important do you think going forward it is to hire somebody who, if not one of their own, is essentially from the South? Brian always seemed a little bit like a fish out of water. We can get into everything that went wrong, but the Tulane coach, he's from the Southwest. He went to a SEC school. He has position coaching experience at 2 SEC schools. He's now at Tulane. He was at Troy before that. Plus, in theory, he's not going to cost as much as Kiffin or somebody else. I mean, do you think that's the route that LSU has to go, or no? Will they go shooting for big game hunting?
Yeah. So it's impossible to know without knowing who is going to make the hire, right? So Scott Woodward's MO is always big game hunting. He was always hunting like the biggest name possible. I not knowing who's going to make the hire, I don't know exactly what that person's direction will be. Whether this is right or wrong, you're talking about John Summerall at Tulane, who's a great coach. The optics of LSU hiring the Tulane coach is something that probably won't play here. It was the same thing that worked against Billy Napier 4 years ago when he was at UL Lafayette. And we all know now with the benefit of hindsight that didn't go well at Florida, but right or wrong, there's an optics part of that involved with LSU hiring a coach from a smaller in-state school, which probably won't happen. It'll be fascinating to see what direction they go and what type of market is out there. But one thing that's also true in conversations that I had yesterday, LSU this year with increasing revenue from TV and portal and playoff, et cetera, LSU will be a $300 million athletic department, in revenue, and they can structure it how they need to make it work. But it's still going to be one of those things where LSU will always prioritize football. They understand the need to be good in football. And so they're going to invest what they have to make sure that they feel like they're in as stable and exciting a position as possible to win championships.
All right. If it's not Lane, who would you want? Or if you want someone differently than Lane, who would you want to hire if it was your decision?
Well, I can give you some of the names that have already been floated, and some of the ones that you'd expect, right? Kiffin, Dan Lanning. Whether these are pipe dreams or realistic, we can make that determination as we move forward. But Kiffin, Dan Lanning, Eli Drinkwitz, Jed Fish, of course, went to Florida and is up at Washington right now. Those are some of the names you hear. And a couple off the radar names with NFL ties, with LSU ties. One is Joe Brady, who's currently the OC of the Bills. He was on that 2019 staff. And then Kelvin Shepard played football at LSU. He's currently the defense coordinator in Detroit, a young guy with NFL experience. And if you look at that NFL model now, guys, where you have a GM that's kind of building the roster and the coaches and the coach, guys with NFL experience may be more intriguing. Dan Mullen's a name that's also been floated. As much as he hated recruiting at Florida, you're in an era now where you don't have to recruit like you did. So maybe that makes sense. But those are just some of the names early floating on. I mean, you asked me my opinion. Pipe dream, I would love Dan Lanning or Lane Kiffin. I just don't know if either of those are realistic.
Matt, before we let you go, it sounds like on the shocked scale of 1 to 10, you're somewhere between an 11 and a 13.
Or like a 75.
Okay.
I mean, I just never would have. I woke up Saturday not thinking in my wildest dreams that Brian Kelly would have been fired 24 hours later. Because guys, for 4 years, I've had these conversations with boosters, admins, board members, where it has been expressed in no uncertain terms. Even a week ago after losing to Vanderbilt, but there was no appetite to spend $54 million to buy up Brian Kelly. And in one game, one day, one night at Tiger Stadium, that swung so dramatically. That's stunning.
Matt, all the best to you and the family. Continued success afternoons in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Always, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Matt Moscona. Follow him on X, Matt Moscona, Moscona, the Locked On LSU podcast. If you're interested in this subject, you may want to download it. Miller and Moulton. The Diamond District bonus hour is next.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
They've cut the nets, they've raised the banners, and now they're headed to Fort Myers. Michigan State, North Carolina, and other top programs take the court in the Skechers Fort Myers Tip-Off this Thanksgiving week. Legendary programs, championship traditions, college basketball's biggest names, live at Suncoast Arena. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours now at FortMyersTipoff.com/go. That's FortMyersTipoff.com/go.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
They do, Adam. They have loftier goals of their program than Gator Fan does of theirs.
They're more popular in the state than the Saints.
Well, I mean, I get that. Michigan was more Michigan, I still think is more. Michigan was more popular than the Lions my whole life. Wasn't close.
Yep.
I don't know if that's still the case. I'm long removed from that state.
Saturday night in Baton Rouge is the biggest thing that happens in that state.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Overreaction Monday. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm in Kansas City, cloudy 50-degree weather throughout the day is what's expected. The rain, they think, will hold off until tomorrow. So hoping it will be dry tonight for Chiefs and Commanders. Kansas City, a robust 10.5-point favorite once it was declared that Daniels was not going to play for Washington.
And we've had basically one competitive game this week in the National Football League. The Jets and the Bengals.
Yep.
Most everything else was very lopsided.
I will say this. Chiefs catch a break, and, hey, we all need a break time to time, right? Chiefs have had a challenging early season schedule. Mark, maybe they've deserved this break because coming out of tonight, they're at Buffalo Sunday. They then are at Denver. Now, it's after a bye week. But after tonight, short week, they go to Buffalo. Bye week at Denver. Home for the Colts. How much more difficult does that look than 2 months ago? Than 6 weeks ago? And then, very short week in Dallas to play the Cowboys. Now, are they better than Dallas? Of course they are. But that's a pain in the game to have to play as the road team. It is. And it's at the point of the season where your bye week is come and gone, the trade deadline is come and gone. What you got, you got. And there's a lot of guys that can't go on Thanksgiving. So after tonight, in which, hey, Chiefs caught a break, Commanders aren't playing the way they were last year, and Daniels is hurt. They should win tonight against Marcus Mariota. At Buffalo, at Denver, home for the Colts, Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. And then even 10 days later, Texans, Chargers, both at home. I mean, that's pretty salty.
It is. No, there's no doubt. And if you look at Denver's schedule over that time, not nearly as difficult. We told you a while back, we thought Denver was going to lose against the Eagles. They ended up having that great fourth quarter comeback. And we said it doesn't, I mean, even if they lose, the next 6 games are all winnable games.
Right.
And turns out they beat the Eagles, and they've been beating everybody ever since.
We didn't expect the Patriots to go to Orchard Park and win, but we did say, if you look closely after the game at Buffalo, there's a lot of wins on the Patriots' schedule. They could be a wild card contender. We thought they would lose to Buffalo. They beat Buffalo. Sure enough, there's a lot of wins on that schedule. And now, until Buffalo gets a chance at payback, they're a contender for the AFC East. Mark, to me, what happened this weekend was there were teams that we thought were going to, I guess, be contenders for a little while longer. Like, we thought Cincinnati with Joe Flacco was going to be able to get themselves in a position where maybe if they win those division games late in the season, they can steal a playoff spot. Then they go and lose at home to the Jets.
And get an injury
Atlanta.
to boot.
Right. And Hendrickson now hurt. Hell, might not even be tradable now with that hit.
That's the problem, is that now who wants to, because one of the things that Pat Kerwin brought up last week on the show is that when you're in a spot where you're going to get fired as a GM, owners will say, don't trade anybody. It's the next guy's job. And with so many teams in it, how many trades are going to be made? Like Buffalo, for instance, the team we've talked about it. There are holes on that team. There's no money to fill them.
No, they would have to be unbelievably creative. They would likely have to give up far more in compensation to take on the guys because they would need the team trading them to probably absorb most, if not all, of the salary. The Bills have less than $1 million right now under the cap.
But the Patriots have all kinds of money if they wanted to go out and acquire, I don't know, a wide receiver that might be available from someone.
Right.
So interesting next 8 days, David.
Well, and look at the Falcons. What a damaging loss. Come on, man. The 1-6 Dolphins come to town. Everybody's getting fired. The quarterback's getting replaced. There's a question about leadership in the room and whether or not they want to play for the coach and the quarterback. What the heck? Yeah, I know your starter's out. Cousins is a competent backup. Your roster's better than theirs. What the heck?
I will say, I thought Kirk Cousins was giving an audition for all the teams that he wanted to go play for next year, and he laid an egg. He was not good. He was not accurate. He missed guys that were open. Passes were way off. I thought that was an opportunity for him next year as one of the older guys, and we've seen Flacco doing well, and we've seen, Rodgers doing his thing. Could Kirk Cousins keep playing? What I saw yesterday, not interested.
Fair enough.
Not interested.
But, I mean, for the Falcons, man, they could have been 4-3, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, once again, we're paying attention to the right-hand column. Yes, they had an early bye, so they've played one less game than most everyone. But if you only have 3 losses, you're still very much in the conversation in the NFC. Remember, though, heading into this past weekend, you had to be 5-2 or better to make the playoffs in the NFC. And now you drop to 3-4 when Philly wins, Green Bay wins, Detroit they didn't play, but they won on Monday night. Tampa Bay wins. I mean,
we're not even at the halfway point for everybody yet, and you have to have 5 wins to get in the NFC.
Right.
The Bears losing against a Lamar-less Ravens team and not even being competitive in that game. Bad game for Caleb Williams, by the way. That was not a performance that I expected to see the way teams have been scoring on Baltimore. I'm
sorry. I just want to throw this out there. I don't know if it's going to be this year. It might have to be all the way through next year. Caleb is not going to be the answer for Ben Johnson. That's not going to work. It's not for Ben. Okay. It's not. He's not accurate enough. He's not. Okay. Ben Johnson, he doesn't care if the quarterback has mobility or not. All right. But you got to be accurate. Caleb Williams is consistently inaccurate. Trevor Lawrence wouldn't work for Ben Johnson. I'm just saying. It's not going to work in Chicago. I hope that they make that decision at the end of this year. Okay. But Mark, I'm telling you, he may do just well enough that it ruins 2 years before they make the decision.
But as you mentioned, Atlanta, what are the Vikings now with 4 losses? That the NFC is starting to separate a little bit.
Yes.
And had opportunities this weekend. Chicago, Atlanta, Washington tonight. They're a 10.5-point dog. That would be their 5th loss.
Oh, they'd be done. I think they'd have to damn near. I mean, okay, 9 games left. Would 7-2 do it? No. Right now, it doesn't. Right now, it does not look like 10-6, 10-7, excuse me, is going to get it done in the NFC. Hopefully, it will. But Mark, right now, the third place team in the West, the third place team in the North. I mean, first, Chicago's 4-3. Just to go 10-7, they'd have to go 6-4 the rest of the way. So you mean to tell me the Bears are going to have to go 7-3 in their final 10 games?
I think 10 will get you in. I do think when the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks start playing each other, I think you're going to see a little bit there. That was a big loss for the Niners yesterday. That was an opportunity. And give Houston credit. You called that one. You and I split on our games that we differed on. You said it was their season, and they played like it from the start of the game.
I thought it was the DeMeco Ryans regime. I
Well,
really did.
It may have been the Morris regime in Atlanta yesterday, too, just for what it's worth. That's the kind of loss that was for Atlanta.
No doubt. Even though it's only a second year, they think they're ready to win today. And I don't know about you, but doesn't it drive you crazy when you can't get consistency from teams? I mean,
Had a Falcon on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. I got a text. He's a big Georgia Tech fan, and he started with Go Jackets. He said, but my damn Dirty Birds. What the hell? He goes, I'm so sick of playing up for the good teams, down with the bad teams, and give me another 7-10 going what could have been. Falcons fans, I mean, and look at, they've got a fan base. They packed that joint.
Yeah, totally. And not only that, that's not a bad roster at all. They got a number 1 wide receiver. They got one of the 4 best running backs in the game. All right. They dramatically improved at the point of attack on both sides of the ball. What the heck? You lost 30-0 to Carolina and 34-10 at home to the Dolphins? I'm sorry. Now you have to start looking beyond the roster. That just doesn't add up.
Not at all.
It's one thing to
Not
lose.
at all.
As frustrating it was for the Bengals to lose to the Jets, at least the game was 39-38. You can blame the defensive unit and what have you, but man, oh man. And it's going to cost Zach Taylor his job. I mean, this is going to run its course, and he's probably going to get fired.
And I'll lead all of this talk about coaches and regime change back to the guy in Tampa, Todd Bowles. Did they play their A game yesterday? Hell no. Not anywhere close to it. Are they better than that? Oh, yeah. But it was a road division game, and they got it done.
Yep.
They got it done. And I caught some video late yesterday of Bowles told the team, beat the Saints, you get the week off. And when he gave his post-game speech, told you boys, you win, you got the week off, and that room popped. And he was smiling. I beg Bucs fans to go find the video because for whatever reason, you don't like the demeanor of your head coach. But explain to me when this team ever lays down playing for Todd Bowles. They play hard every single week. Every week.
They love him.
Yes, they do.
And I will say this, though. Levante David needs to stay on that roster for as long as he wants. He is the guy in that room. He is. When Mike Evans was laying down on the ground, you know who walked out onto the field first before Bowles? Levante David. He is the dude. Baker's going to get MVP votes, but Levante David is the dude.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
It's the event everyone will be talking about when college basketball's biggest names take the court in Fort Myers. The Michigan State Spartans and the North Carolina Tar Heels headline the 2025 Skechers Fort Myers Tip-Off. Witness the excitement live and in person this Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena. The stage is set. Will you be there? Lock in your spot now at FortMyersTipoff.com/go. That's FortMyersTipoff.com/go. See you Thanksgiving week at Suncoast Arena.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm with you, Empire, to a certain. I'm with you. No, but I do think, Puck, we got to fire this guy because we don't like him. Yeah, the guy at Georgia Tech's doing a great job. The guy at Vandy's doing a great job. But Napier didn't, and Norvell's not. By the way, everybody loved the guy at SMU. He just lost to Wake Forest. But everybody at the university you root for wants Hugh Freeze gone. Is it his fault? I mean, and they were losing early in that game because his quarterback threw a pick six. Was that Hugh Freeze's fault? I mean,
and by the way, they're still playing for him. They busted their ass, came from behind, won that game. They're good officiating away from being 6-2. Stop it, honestly. Just give them one more year.
Jake, it's because the agents are running the show. And the athletic directors are pawns. I mean, listen to what Matt Moscona just said about what's going on at LSU. It's virtually the same thing that's going on at Florida. They're powerless with the president right now. I mean, the same thing happened at Florida. They had a president. They were going to hire the president that was at the University of Michigan. I mean, let's just hold on for a second. You're looking for a guy to run your university. Can we just push politics to the side because it's hard to do that anymore? But Michigan, it's a pretty good college. You bring in their leader to run your school, and the governor ran him out because he didn't like his politics. That's not how we were running universities not too long ago. I'm not saying I don't care what your politics are. You shouldn't care what mine are. We do sports, but there are crossovers, and that's why that guy didn't get the job at Florida. It's the only reason. It was the only guy the search committee got one guy.
In fact, the search committee unanimously recommended him.
Funny, Left Twix. Well played. Funny. By the way, it's not just you and I with our picks. My kid has his little podcast, and he's been struggling. He went 5-0. You would have thought he won $10,000 over the weekend.
Good for him.
Exactly. I was laughing when I told him when the Vandy was a game there. I was like, well, I told David he's in trouble because you picked Vandy.
I text you a question.
I text you an answer.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was a day win. Some final thoughts, a pick or two. Game 3 of the World Series tonight. 8 o'clock on Fox. Monday Night Football tonight, 8:15, ABC, ESPN. So that could have been a poll question. What are you watching tonight? Our poll question is, where do you think Lane Kiffin's going to be next year? Ole Miss, LSU, or Florida?
Ole Miss, 66% of the vote right now.
Wow.
You and I both think so. But I will tell you this. Can I just give you, Florida fan, the reason why you should go all out for Lane? And there are a lot of reports that they are. In fact, someone in our Twitch chat room had a number associated with Lane, and I have to be honest, the number I saw was a lot higher than what you reported.
Well,
your length of contract was longer, but the money per year was higher than what I saw.
Buddy Martin from Gatorbait reported mid to late last week that the number was 13.5 per year.
Right. That's what I saw as well. So my son's in town. He loves college football, does little podcasts, and he knows his ball. He's 26. He is a diehard because of his mother, Georgia fan. We're going to the cocktail party on Saturday. Can't wait. And he just said to me yesterday, and he's like, man, he's already nervous about the game with the interim coach. It already has him nervous as a Georgia fan. And he said, if they get Lane, everything changes.
Well, that was the conversation that a few of us were having, in which, how about if you frame it this way? Who does Kirby Smart not want Florida to hire?
Lane Kiffin.
Don't you think that's the answer to that question?
Lane Kiffin.
And that, that there's probably somebody second and third and what have you. But if you look at it, who should Florida hire? Well, how about if you look at it from, who does Kirby not want Florida to hire?
And yes, Kirby was able to hold off Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago in Athens. But Ole Miss is reliant upon the transfer portal. If you can work the portal as well as Lane does and recruit the state of Florida the way any Florida football coach should be able to do. And I'm not even saying dominate. Just get your fair share. You're going to lose some to Mario. You're going to lose some to whoever the next coach is at FSU. Just get your share of the players. That's worrisome if you're a Georgia fan, because now you're on equal footing with the team that is your biggest rival, and right now the rival that's keeping you from going to Atlanta regularly.
Once again, sometimes I can be too myopic, too naive. I know that. In a strange way, I think LSU's job being available can help Florida in this sense. LSU and Ole Miss are bitter rivals. That's the second biggest game on the Ole Miss schedule. That is a border rivalry, and it's their biggest one. It's not Alabama. It's LSU. They play for a trophy in that game and everything. And Mark, suddenly it seems important to Lane to be liked. All right. For the longest time, he was the outlaw and the wise ass, and he didn't mind being hated. Tennessee, or being the offensive coordinator at Alabama and the jokes and what have you. But he's now at a different stage in his life where he seems as if being liked is important to him. Mark, if he leaves Ole Miss for LSU, he's Satan.
Yeah.
He's not if he leaves Ole Miss for Florida. They'll be
No, he's
disappointed.
he's taking his talents to Baton Rouge. If you
Right.
remember how well it went over for that guy.
Right. Okay. I'm telling you, it'd be kind of like when Dan Mullen left Mississippi State for Florida. They were really disappointed. Some of them were angry, but leaving Mississippi State for Florida, especially since they got him from Florida, he was the offensive coordinator there when they won natties and the whole deal. The people there were really disappointed, hoped he stayed, but they understood. All right. There is a connection with Lane in Florida. Okay. Met his wife there. All right. His affinity for Spurrier. Okay. He's already alluded to it. There is an attraction to him about the Florida job, which is personal besides professional. Okay. He can't leave Ole Miss for LSU and ever think he can step foot in the state again and literally not have people want to spit in his face.
And then it becomes just a quality of life for Lane. Does the quality of life that he has and what he seems to be very comfortable with in Oxford enough to keep him there? Or are they going to make him an offer he can't refuse? And from everything we're hearing, and David and I are both hearing it from different people, Florida right now has their foot fully on the gas with trying to do everything they can do to get Lane. Will it work? I don't know. I've said forever I thought he was staying at Ole Miss because financially I think Ole Miss can match whatever's being done anywhere else. But is that enough for Lane? Is it just making the $13.5 million a year and the chance to go to the playoff at Ole Miss, or going to a Florida where you're supposed to go to the playoff every year and bring natties as well?
Another thing that I think helps Florida for Lane now that LSU has entered the sweepstakes, look at what just happened at the two schools. Florida gave Billy Napier 3.5/4 years, and he was below 500. LSU just ran Brian Kelly out in basically 10 days. And what was his track record? Now, by LSU, it's not good enough, but he did take him to the SEC championship game in one of his 4 years that were there. He did help produce a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback while he was there. I mean, he was not a bum, despite how he's thought of walking out the door. I mean, if you're Lane, I mean, one place is literally in the last 10 days shown which one's going to give you a lot more rope than the other.
No doubt. There is no doubt. And I think even bigger than that, because, we did start this show and I asked you point blank, which job is better, the Florida job or the LSU job? And you didn't hesitate. You said LSU. And
It is.
And you're right.
It is.
But I think the point that you just made about Lane being hated if he were to take the LSU job would weigh on him. And I think we all get there. You're young, you're brash, you don't care what people think. You get older and maybe it matters a little more to you. Maybe it matters a little bit more to your family hearing it in Lane's case. But the full court press is on by the Gators.
I just wonder if it's too early. Kind of like in the game, I feel like the Gators started pressing in a 4-quarter game. I felt like they started pressing late first quarter, early second. I just don't
Or
know.
like South Carolina, going for 2 when you're down 14-12 instead of making it 14-13. God, I hate when teams chase points. We could do a segment every week on the teams that chase points, and it backfired on them, David.
Totally.
Every single week.
Now, yeah, there are times when these gambles work out, but I don't know. There just seems to be more and more examples of people turning down easy points. And then you look back and you go, you would have won if.
South Florida didn't kick a field goal. 4th and 3 from the 7.
I know it's not his thing. I don't know what to tell you. You're playing one of the best teams on your schedule. You're at their place. You have a 7-point lead. Kick the field goal, go up 10. Keep the pressure on them. Unbelievable. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up.
Besides the sales experience at the Diamond District, we offer a litany of other services. Appraisals.
We have 2 GIA certified gemologists, full-time, servicing your needs with appraisals.
We buy gold, diamonds, gemstones, Rolex watches. Repairs.
We have 3 full-time master bench jewelers.
A beautiful custom design department so that we can give you one-of-a-kind jewelry. Come see Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it
Mark
real.
Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Wow, Paul, I have to tell you sincerely, I wouldn't be out in weather like that to play golf. That's just no. I'm trying to figure out how many layers I'm going to need for the game on Saturday because it might be around 70.
It's the price. Have you seen the meme? It's The Price is Right. And it's Bob Barker, and got to be one of his last years because he looks pretty old, but he's in a tux, so it's got to be an anniversary show of some kind. And the guy on the stage is wearing a purple LSU hoodie with yellow lettering. Okay. And Bob is saying you can have what's behind door number, whatever. And it obviously was a new car, only they have a U-Haul truck coming out of it.
Outstanding.
169 million, by the way, is the total amount in buyouts that are owed to the coaches. 169. It'll get to 200, right?
But
Norvell?
if Sparty does it, that's 35 for the record, and I think he's gone. Norvell, that's 30 something, right?
Yeah, that'll get us close to 250. Then if we take Hugh Freeze into account, I mean, if we could just get one more.
Is Beamer going to get fired?
No, he may leave. but he's not going to get fired.
Okay.
They're nuts if they fire him, by the way.
I agree with you.
Nuts. He'd get hired so fast. Anybody see the senior moment Terry Bradshaw had yesterday?
No.
He was asked a question about something. I have no idea what he was talking about. He gave an answer. They turned to a cutaway shot of Strahan. Strahan's like,
I did see a clip of a Monday Night Football game from way back when of when Lambert gave the put dresses on him comment. Starts with Howard talking to Bradshaw. And Bradshaw's like, I've been in this league 6 years. They've made changes. I still think we're football players. Not saying, Then they ask Lambert about new rules for the quarterbacks. And he says, I think we should just put dresses on them.
Yep.
I got flagged for a late hit last week for 15 yards that I don't think was a late hit. So I think if we just put dresses on the quarterbacks, it would be better.
Oh, it was here in Kansas City 2-3 years ago. Troy said that. They called Max Crosby. They called the roughing the passer on Mahomes, and he said, man, maybe they should just put dresses on him." I was like, "Oh boy, oh, we're on now." I'll tell you what. Meanwhile, there's all this video of Ed Orgeron partying on Miami Beach. He's still getting paid.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're out of here on this Monday. Overreaction Monday in a lot of parts.
But we can't overreact even nearly to the level that athletic directors and college boosters are over. I mean, David, 3 weeks in a row, we've gone Penn State, Florida, LSU. How can we possibly overreact more than they are?
Should that be the poll question on Friday? Which coach will be fired before we come on the air Monday? And we put 3 or 4 names up there? Oh, man.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Before you hit the button, okay, of the 3, since this is an overreaction Monday, how many of the 3 firings do you think was an overreaction?
Brian Kelly. James Franklin. I think 2 of the 3 were. I don't think Napier was. He had to go. That's a joke. He wasn't. If you can't be 500 at the University of Florida, you don't deserve to be coaching at the University of Florida. He should have been fired last year. He saved his behind in the last few weeks of the season. And now I think teams are looking at their whatever team, Saturday or Sunday, they root for, going, man, don't go on a 4-game win streak to end the season. We don't need you around next year.
listen, we all know what the scorecard is for everybody involved. And, now you got the boosters. And if they say, well, if you keep them, we're not going to spend the money to pay for the players. Are you really just putting off the inevitable another year or two because of the buyout? And, I get it. But, well, yeah, obviously Napier had to go. If Brian Kelly had kept his offensive coordinator, he went back to Notre Dame, and look what has happened in the 2 years since. That's why it failed. Like, if I was LSU, I would have been like, we need to take a run at that guy and make him the highest paid coordinator, $5 million, whatever, because Brian Kelly's a different coach when he's calling the plays. So I think it's one of the three. Okay. I think Kelly was an overreaction. I think they could have made that work. I think at 2 or 3, I actually think James Franklin had to go. The Penn State people weren't going to give him a dime.
Yeah, I understand he didn't have to go, though. I'm sorry. He didn't have to go. Yeah, it was bad for 3 weeks. Let's see what you get, Penn State. You're all in now because we're going to keep a scorecard on this one.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
And it's brought to you by the Fort Myers Tip-Off. Go to fortmyerstipoff.com. They've got the big boy division there with Michigan State, North Carolina, and St. Bonaventure and East Carolina. But then they've got the other division with smaller D1s. They've got the women on the weekend. Hoop from Monday to Saturday. fortmyerstipoff.com is where you go for more information. David, we start early today. 312 AD. When the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great had his vision of the cross. Without that, we'd all be a different religion. 1682, Philadelphia, founded by William Penn. 1787, the Federalist Papers start appearing in New York newspapers under pseudonyms. They were written by Hamilton, Madison, and John Jay. 1920, KDKA is granted a limited commercial license by the Department of Commerce, the first commercial radio station in the country in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean and Natalie Wood, released today in 1955. Today in 1963, Gordie Howe scores number 544. He would tie Maurice Richard's all-time goal scoring record that day. 1972, Stevie Wonder releases Talking Book. Had Superstition and You Are the Sunshine on My Life on it. Kind of a biggie. 75, Time and Newsweek had the same person on the cover. It was Bruce Springsteen. Time, rock's new sensation, Newsweek, making of a rock star after the release of Born to Run. Prince's 1999 released today in 1982. The title track in Little Red Corvette, the 2 big hits on that one. Kansas City beats the Cardinals in 85-7 in a rout, 11-0. 86, the Mets beat the Red Sox in 7. Ray Knight, your MVP.
Game 7 got rained out. Everybody remembers the ball going through Buckner's legs. That was a Saturday. Game got rained out Sunday. The Giants were hosting the Redskins at the same time the Mets and Red Sox were playing Game 7. Baseball outrated football 4-1.
Leaving Las Vegas. It had Elizabeth Shue in it. That's why I brought it up. Was released today in 1995.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That. Thank you.
2002, Anaheim beat San Francisco in 7 for the Angels' first title. Today in 04, Boston, in a sweep over St. Louis, gets their first title since 1918.
Never forget the scenes of people taking Red Sox jerseys to the cemeteries throughout New England and laying them on their grandfathers or fathers or mothers or grandmothers, tombstones.
2006, Amy Winehouse released her final studio album, Back to Black. Also that day, the Cardinals took down the Tigers in 5 for their 10th title. Lou Reed died today in 2013. And today, the Dodgers beat the Rays in 6 to win their first title in 32 years. 3-1 the final. Anything you remember about that game, David?
Well, Blake Snell had a 2-hit shutout going in the 6th, and they took him out.
Sure did.
Brought in a reliever who had given up runs in each of his last 3 appearances. And, Mark, you're never going to guess what he did in this appearance.
Gave up runs.
Yes, he did, Mark. Yes,
Imagine that.
Yep.
Teddy Roosevelt, Ralph Kiner, John Gotti, Dick Trickle, and Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots would have all celebrated birthdays today. John Cleese is 86. Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran is 67. Rick Carlisle, 66. Mike Recchi is 54. Brady Quinn and Kelly Osbourne are each 41 today. And Lonzo Ball is 28 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, it was 19 years ago today that the very last Ford Taurus rolled off the assembly line in Hapeville, Georgia. And you know who bought it?
The Chick-fil-A CEO.
Yeah, the guy who founded it, Truett Cathy, 85 years old at the time. He said, "I'm sorry people are losing their jobs, but I kind of have this thing for collecting cars and I wanted it." Okay.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, most of you probably wouldn't consider this a good, but Mineola, Florida is where we go for the good, where a Florida home's front porch has become the height of a heated neighborhood debate. You see, it's Halloween and people get into Halloween decorations, and this one features 3 skeletons. One with a cigar, another with a beer, and a third skeleton that's on a pole looking as if it is stripping. Neighbors are not happy with the pole dancing skeletons, debating whether it is suitable for kids walking to school. Trust me, they can see more on their phones. For the bad, we go to Bath, New York, where a bath man was arrested after he intentionally placed a burning cigar in the money chute at a bank and sent it to an employee inside. Jacob Frank was arrested on charges of assault in the 3rd degree and reckless endangerment after admitting to sending the lit cigar in the bank chute. Police say the employee inhaled smoke from the burning cigar, resulting in the need of medical attention. Are you serious right now? Are you serious? And finally, the ugly. We come back to Cape Coral, where FHP, along with Cape Coral police, tried to pull over a suspected drunk driver because the driver did not have his headlights on, and he did not stop and sped off. The driver, later identified as Vernice Zipico, stopped at a home and then ran from the car. He would jump into a canal, swim across the canal, and hide in a neighbor's yard filled with dirt and shrubs. Cape Coral Police's K-9 unit helped locate the man. He's a habitual traffic offender and has now been apprehended. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Monday, October the 27th, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Cape Coral Police Department hiring new officers, tremendous pay, great benefits, unbelievable overtime opportunities available. All information can be had at
CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com.
There you have it. Monday Night Football tonight. Chiefs and Commanders, 10.5 the number. Do you have any tidbits, anything sneaky that says take the points? Or is the fact that Jaden Daniels out enough to say lay the points of the Chargers or of the Chiefs, who are red hot lately.
Well, not only are they hot, having won 4 of 5, and the one game they lost was at Jacksonville, but they're scoring points for the first time in a couple years, and the Commanders' defense, Mark, is giving them up. I mean, on paper, this is a bad matchup. You worry about the half a point, possibly, Washington late score, they lose by 10, kind of like the Green Bay-Pittsburgh game last night. But, I mean, this might be a game. Do you tease the over-under a certain way and tease the Chiefs down to 4.5 if you feel a certain way about the game? I mean, I'll be very surprised if Washington with Mariota can stay within a score.
World Series Game 3, 8 o'clock. Glasnow and Scherzer, the two pitchers. Glasnow does not have a decision yet in the playoffs, but his earned run average is .68, and he struck out 18 batters in 13 innings pitched. Scherzer has a 1-0 record, 5 Ks, but he gave up some runs in his lone appearance for the Jays in the ALCS.
Well, the key stat you mentioned there about Glasnow, 18 strikeouts in 13 innings, mentioned it earlier. The Jays, the second toughest team to strike out in baseball. They struck out one more time than did the Royals. In the Game 1 win by Toronto, Snell and those relievers only got 4 Ks. Meanwhile, Yamamoto, Saturday, struck out a lot more guys. I think that's the key to the series, Mark. All right, working up pitch counts, getting to the bullpen, putting balls in play. Dodgers, not a great defensive team. Muncy at thirds, below average. Freeman's okay at first at his age. Their outfield is very poor defensively. Toronto's got to put the ball in play.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. That's what I asked before Game 1. Can Toronto be patient at the plate, extend pitch counts, get the pitcher throwing a lot of pitches, get pitchers out by the 5th inning? If they can do that, their bats are fantastic. They should be able to hit anybody. Scherzer, can he give them 4 or 5 solid innings? Not shut them out. Can he give them 4 or 5 and have it be 2? Can 2 be the number after 4 or 5 innings? If that's the case, I like Toronto's chances tonight.
I really want to see Toronto win tonight. I want to see Ohtani have to take the hill in a really big pressure spot. It's one thing to do what you did against Milwaukee when you're up 3 spit. I'd love for him to be down 2-1 and have to go out there and just, see if he can handle the moment.
Game 1, the Toronto crowd chanting to Ohtani, "We don't need you." Remember, they came in second for the bidding for Ohtani. Ohtani said his wife thought the comment was funny. That's a good line. That's a good line.
Orlando in Philadelphia. The Sixers off to a 2-0 start, 7 o'clock tonight. There are like 10 games, 12 games in the NBA. There are only 2 NHL games. So Peacock has Denver, Minnesota tonight at 9:30. And Cleveland, Detroit at 7. That's right. Your Monday night Peacock NBA doubleheader. Miller and Moulton. We'll see you tomorrow.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not one but two elite women's college basketball tournaments, the Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power 4 teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance. For tickets, go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
When you're craving the real taste of Chicago, there's only one name to know. Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell them Miller and Moulton sent you.
This is Miller and Moulton